We're reading Constantinova, written by Jonas Tintenseher. Cheddar, take it away.
Constantinova, written by Jonas Tintenseher. Fade in. Exterior, Constantinova. Night. An establishing shot. The gleaming city of Constantinova, crime capital of Europe, in a thunderstorm. A jazzy version of Istanbul plays. The city is 50% skyscrapers, 25% neon lights, 15% dark alleys, and 10% black smog.
You ever wake up and your inner monologue's just a train horn? Keeps blasting in your ear all day?
In Faraday's office, zoom into the 13th floor office of Kane Faraday, 55, graying private detective, asleep, hat over his face. The music gets grainier as Faraday's radio comes into view. A cool, smooth voice speaks. Vera, Faraday's AI secretary.
Mr. Faraday, you have a visitor.
He grunts. Vera's hologram face, that of a friendly 30-year-old woman, shimmers, lighting him up.
Mr. Faraday. Kane.
Leave me alone, Vera. You ever try to get a moment to think to yourself, but something keeps coming up right when things start to quiet down?
You have a visitor, Mr. Faraday.
Send him away.
In the rain, sir?
Office hours are 21 to 6 Mondays. I put a sign up, didn't I?
It's 22:15, sir.
Faraday pushes up the edge of his hat and peers at Vera.
How long have I been sleeping?
5 hours, sir.
Faraday rubs his eyes and sits up, putting his hat aside. He cracks his knuckles and sips from his chipped coffee mug.
Vera, put a pot on, would you?
Yes, sir.
Vera vanishes. A coffee machine lights up and starts brewing. Faraday pours himself a glass of whiskey, takes a sip to follow the coffee, and opens a camera feed on his computer. The camera shows Atlanta Moore, 28, red hair, red dress, heels, makeup, handbag. In the front door's alcove, just barely out of the rain, but completely dry. She buzzes the doorbell. Faraday squints.
Well, shit. Let her in, Vera.
Atlanta enters the building. Faraday scans his messy desk and size. Atlanta enters the office as a silhouette.
You ever see a woman walk into your office from the worst storm in the last 10 years, dry as a drunk in the Sahara, and think, how come we don't say dame anymore?
Atlanta steps into the light.
You ever have an 18-carat run of bad luck and end up in the office of a 2-bit private eye with a hole in the wall and letters missing from his door?
Atlanta and Faraday appraise each other. A floating tray brings Faraday his coffee. He stands and waves Atlanta in.
Vera, lights.
Dim lights turn on. Atlanta looks around with distaste, but not disgust. A chair rises up for her. Faraday follows suit.
Kane Faraday, I presume.
That's what it says on my door.
Actually, your door says, Can Faraday, private instigator.
Faraday's eye twitches. He waves to bring up Vera's hologram.
Vera, notes, please.
Yes, Mr. Faraday. That a virtual responsibility assistant.
My secretary, Vera.
Atlanta, skeptical, gestures with an e-cig. Faraday nods.
To what do I owe the pleasure of your visit today, Miss...
More. Atlanta Moore.
Atlanta. You running from something, Atlanta? I'd never been big on Greek myths.
She blows a ring of smoke at him and hands him an envelope containing 4 pictures of a tattooed henchman, Talon, 40s.
I've got a problem, Mr. Faraday. This man's been following me. I think his boss is a little upset, and you're the 3rd private investigator I've gone to.
Not so sure I like being your second choice.
I wasn't too happy about it either. I could only hope he wouldn't ask what happened to the other 2.
What happened to the other 2?
The first one took my cash and skipped town. The second got these pictures for me and a knife in the back for a trouble.
Why come to me now, then?
She hands him a blood-stained business card. He activates its holographic projection. Nat Rose, private investigator.
Nat Rose? I hadn't heard her name in years. It cut deep, like...
I found her bleeding out in her office about a week ago.
like a knife in the back.
Her last words were, "Tell Cain Faraday to get to Byzantium."
Or the thorns on a...
Do you know what that means?
What?
If you're not going to take this seriously, Mr. Faraday, perhaps I should just leave.
No. Just... That Rose was an old friend of mine.
Well, I'm terribly sorry for your loss, but the same will soon happen to me if I don't do something.
So, you want me to look into this guy? Maybe talk to his boss?
Oh, I wouldn't recommend that, Mr. Faraday. Oz has more than enough knives to go around.
You think I'm going to get between you and Oz?
Atlanta hands over another envelope, this one much thicker.
I think you'll do just about anything I ask for what's in there.
Uh-huh. Look, you seem nice enough, but whatever trouble you got into with Oz, you're gonna have to... Fuck me.
Cash for services rendered, Mr. Faraday. That's the deal. I'm not going to have sex with you.
Shame. You sound like my ex-wife.
You were married?
No, never.
He rubs his temples, pours whiskey in his coffee, takes a sip, and lights himself a real cigar.
It was the most cash I'd ever seen in my life. Can't say I'd be able to retire on that much. That'd be a death sentence for sure, but I could buy myself a new hat or two.
That's everything I have left, Mr. Faraday. Less a few thousand for my expenses, my motel. I sold my house, sold my car, sold my jewels. If you can't help me, I'll be dead broke and broke dead within a week, maybe sooner. And if I must be either, I'd rather not be both.
You sure are something, Miss Moore.
That's what they say. Does that offer seem fair to you?
What kind of trouble are you in?
You know the Emerald Pulse Casino?
Unfortunately.
You know who owns it, then.
The Emerald Pulse Casino Lounge. Flashback. The casino is extravagant and reminiscent of the land of Oz. Atlanta is spotlighted on stage in the lounge with a retro mic hanging from above. She sings a heady neo-jazz ballad.
I was a singer there. From twilight to midnight, the lounge was mine. Oz used to say I'd cast a spell on the place. He'd come down and take over at the keys sometimes.
Still singing, Atalanta sits on top of a grand piano, being played by Oz, 33, Turkish, immaculate, handsome, stylish.
He'd say he didn't even know how to play. He just wanted to be on stage with me. He was always a flatterer and a hell of a liar.
The song continues as the scene floats away to Oz's office. Atalanta stands with Fiona Shields, 22, younger, prettier, better. Oz silently explains the new arrangement.
Half a year back, he brought on someone new, Fiona Shields. She'd sing in the lounge to sleep after I was done. Not even a month later, Oz decides we should trade shifts.
Atalanta sits on the wings, watching Fiona on stage with Oz.
I didn't mind. The pay was still better than any gig I'd ever had. The guests still came in droves just to see me, but I thought that'd be the end of it. But Fiona had the wizard's ear, and she didn't want me around anymore.
A masked thief unlocks the glass case with the 13 pens.
Last month, there was a robbery. Someone stole $161 million and the crown jewels from the vault. Plus, they stopped by the office and took Oz's prized pens and a stuffed jackalope.
Atalanta in her dressing room. 3 security guards enter.
Fiona saw a chance to get rid of me, and she took it. A little birdie got it in Oz's ear that I was the mastermind behind the take.
The scene wavers and fades in a haze of smoke. In Faraday's office, back to the present day, Faraday turns the business card over and over in his hands as Atalanta finishes her story.
I think you can guess what happened from there.
I never heard about any robbery.
You wouldn't. Oz took great pains to cover it up. The only other people who know are me, Fiona, and his chief of security. And now you.
I see. Miss Shields wasn't too fond of the competition, hmm?
5 years I spent on that stage, then one word from his new favorite girl, and I'm running for my life. Does that seem fair to you?
And he can't go to the police.
Because Oz has him in his pocket.
All right. So you want me to find the money, is that it?
What? No, Oz makes that much in a week. It's the pens that matter.
The pens.
His personal collection, a baker's dozen commemorative pens. If he doesn't get 'em back to him by Fiona's shift next Sunday, I'm dead. That's all my loyalty was worth, a 3-week head start. After what Oz did to that monorail, I guess I was lucky he gave me a reprieve at all.
You're not kidding, huh? What's so special about a bunch of pens?
You'd have to ask Oz.
Faraday drains his coffee and whiskey, staring at Nat's card.
6 days to track down a bunch of commemorative pens for the worst crime boss in Europe. A hell of a payday, but nothing to go on. Miss Moore, I'm sorry, but I can't take this job.
You what? You what?
I'm sorry about your trouble about Oz, but I can't get in the middle of it. It's too hot. One thing goes wrong, and it's my ass on the line, and my head, and my hands.
You...
Atalanta is furious, shocked, terrified, but she keeps a steady composure. She stands, takes back her money, picks up her handbag, and turns off her e-cig.
Well, then, thank you for your time, Mr. Faraday.
Faraday nods, ashamed. Vera shimmers into view.
May I call you a taxi, Miss Moore? No, thank you.
She turns to leave, but stops at the door and looks back.
I hope you can sleep well tonight, Mr. Faraday.
Believe me, I never do. She was staring lasers at me, but I'm only one man, and she was only one hell of a woman.
They stare at each other for a few minutes, but Faraday looks away. Atalanta leaves, the door quietly shutting after her. Vera turns to Faraday, frowning, as he sips his whiskey.
You're not just going to let her go, are you?
She wants me to mess with Oz, Vera. What am I supposed to do?
She wants you to help Oz.
She wants me to help her help Oz. Say I manage it without getting hurt. She's back in her cushy lounge, and I get 2 bullets in the neck for knowing something I shouldn't. That seem fair to you?
You're going to just let him kill her for something she didn't do.
Who says she didn't?
Kane.
What? There's no leads, nothing to go on. Just an anonymous thief and a few dark pictures.
You've taken harder cases before. Remember Mr. Grinch?
I don't need this shit from you, Vera. Oz might decide to kill me anyway if he hears she was here. You heard what happened to Nat.
You're right, Mr. Faraday. I'm sorry for overstepping.
Vera disappears. Faraday drains his whiskey, then turns the card over several times before peering at the back. Frowning, he slots it into his computer.
Vera, lights.
The lights turn off. Faraday activates a hologram projected onto the wall. It's Nat Rose, 55, a distaff Faraday, leaning on her desk, bleeding out, recording to the propped-up card.
Kane. Oh God, Kane. Gotta make this quick. They got me before I got them. You'll want to mope, but you can't. I got one last favor to ask of you. One more job. I have a client, Atalanta Moore. Oz thinks she stole something of his. I'll send her to you if I can. You have to help her, Kane. You have to find those pens. I tracked one down, but you'll have to work out the rest. It's bigger than you, or her, or me, or Oz. It's going down. You've got to. Don't mourn me too long, Kane. We had our days.
A door slides open. Atalanta kneels beside Nat, cradling her head. Convulsing, Nat presses the card into Atalanta's hand.
Kane Faraday. Byzantium. Tell him to get to Byzantium. He has to. Save.
At save, Nat falls still and the hologram winks out. Lights rise again. Faraday is motionless as Vera shimmers into view.
Kane, I'm so sorry.
Nat Rose. That was really it. She was gone. Just like that. Never thought I'd live to see the day. It's done.
What are you going to do?
On the streets of Constantinova at night, Faraday, donning his trench coat, pulls open the front door of the building and finds himself face to face with Atalanta, just stepping out of the rain back into the small alcove.
Just my luck. Miss Moore. There she was, pouting like the Mona and dry like vermouth, even with the sky crying its guts out.
Mr. Faraday. There he was, happy to leave me to die at the hands of a madman named after an old children's book.
You think I can see Oz tonight?
Excuse me.
Can you get me a meeting with Oz?
I don't know what you're...
I'm taking your case. Come back inside. Let's talk details.
Faraday steps aside and gestures for her to enter. She narrows her eyes, but does so. Faraday walks in after her.
More than anything, I wanted to ask if she had an umbrella tucked away in that purse, but that could wait. We had a case to discuss.
The door swings shut. Later, the rain has gotten worse. A self-driving cab arrives. Atalanta exits, checks her purse, and gets in. Faraday exits, pulls up his collar, and joins her. The car drives off. Tuesday, 141 hours remaining. In the Emerald Pulse casino office, Faraday and Atalanta enter the office together.
Anything I should know?
Yeah, don't mention munchkins.
Behind his desk, Oz spins around in his chair, smiling.
I knew it was a bad idea to go see Oz. He was a psychopath with a grudge, and the last thing I wanted was to be back in his office. But he wasn't going to kill me. Yet.
Atlanta. Found my pens yet?
No. I'm working on it. This is Kane Faraday. He's an associate.
I see. Kane Faraday.
Oz.
Oz stands to offer a handshake. Faraday accepts.
Have we met before?
If we have, it was a long time ago.
Oz is suspicious, but he shrugs it off.
Sit. What can I do for you?
Miss Moore has hired me to investigate your stolen property.
Ah, yes. How can I help?
Just wanted to know if you had any idea why someone might want to steal a set of commemorative pens. If you have enemies, maybe. Not that I had to ask.
Do you know how I got to be where I am today, Mr. Faraday?
I have some idea. Why?
When the war ended, my mother left the British Army and came to the city to start a new life. She married a baker, and they raised me as best as they could.
Faraday glances at Atalanta. She doesn't look at him.
I knew to hold my tongue. Oz was just trying to scare me. Scare us.
You watch a lot of movies?
Faraday squints, unsure.
You watch a lot of movies? Old movies, with a hero facing off against a big evil guy. I wanted to make movies like that when I was a kid. Thought I'd move to America and be a big shot director.
Oz draws a pistol and examines it, then starts cleaning it. Faraday frowns. Atalanta stiffens, but doesn't move.
But instead, I went to school. Studied theory of intelligence, AI ethics, robotics, programming. And then I graduated. And AI research got banned. I ended up bartending at a shady place on Clover Row.
He gestures with the gun. Faraday and Atalanta stay still.
By the time I was 25, I owned the bar. Opened a betting parlor in the back. In 5 years, I own a dozen casinos. I've made this whole street mine.
Along with half the Euro Senate.
Oz aims directly at Atalanta. She stares him down, stoic.
All this to say, Mr. Faraday.
Oz mimes shooting Atalanta. She barely flinches. He stands and leans over the desk, a dark expression on his face.
That any enemies of mine would have to have some kind of death wish to cross me.
Oz sits back down and puts his gun away.
So no, I don't know who might have stolen my pens. I can only imagine they were either ridiculously brave or ridiculously stupid.
I see. Well, thank you for your time. I'll be back if I find them.
You know you're working on a deadline, I assume.
I told him.
Good, good. Then I wish you luck. And I'll see you Sunday.
Atalanta stands and they exit. Oz grins, spins and waves.
Well,
Well,
that was
enlightening.
frightening.
Faraday and Atalanta exit the casino. They nod at each other, and Atalanta waits for a cab while Faraday walks off.
Miss Moore didn't know where to start, but she could at least tell me what I was looking for. There were 13 pens total. Most were cities: New York, LA, Detroit, Chicago, Paris, London, Berlin. There were 2 for places: the Lighthouse of Hong Kong and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, and 3 for people: Rasputin, Nero, and Marilyn Monroe.
Faraday passes by a busker playing a digital guitar under an awning. He throws a few bills into the busker's case.
And then there was one I didn't get, commemorating the city itself, Constantinova, capital of the East, the city that never woke up, the sleeping dragon, the only place left on Earth with enough neon and street lights to break through all the pollution and cloud cover. Would want to commemorate that.
Faraday leaves Clover Row via a dark alley. Shaky Junkie Herb approaches, holding a vial of a light blue-white substance. Hey, I got some Juliet's lullaby I need to scratch. You in? Make you feel like you're dead without the being dead part.
No thanks, Herb.
Faraday exits the alley into a main street. Hundreds of cars, some of them hovering and/or self-driving, constantly speed by, splashing water everywhere.
On the surface, it didn't seem like such a tough job. Whoever stole the pens either kept them, find the thief, sold them, find the buyer, or lost them. I wasn't too worried about them being lost. If they managed to steal from the Emerald Pulse, they weren't just going to lose that take like an amateur.
Faraday trudges down the sidewalk, passing brightly lit storefronts, drab businessmen, robots on errands, and a couple of overenthusiastic tourists whose picture he walks through without looking up. In the Soylent tap room, Faraday enters a crowded bar, waves at the robotic bartender, Rob, and heads to the back, where a group of patrons, gangsters, and unlucky marks, among them Shelby Quinn, 25, skinny, trying to look fancy, play 5-card hollow poker.
Which meant tracking down the owl or following the paper trail. Either way, I needed someone who could get me up to speed.
Shelby throws in his last chips, and the players reveal. A mobster, Dime, takes the pot. Shelby groans and puts down his hand while no-name Barca collects the cards to reshuffle.
Shelby wasn't a good kid. Well, he was 2 years away from 30. He was a tag-along and an underdog and terrible at poker, and for some reason he thought of himself as my sidekick, me as his mentor. But he was also a thief, and he could get me pointed in the right direction.
For Faraday?
Hey, walk with me, will you?
Oh, I'd love to. Faraday, but I can't leave just yet. Nayland will kill me if I come back broke.
How much have you lost already, Shell?
2?
You better mean 200.
He's 10 grand in the hole, Kane. Why don't you sit and play around? Nanami's been itching to get his cash back after that lucky streak of yours last month.
Can't. I'm on a timer, and I need Shelby here for a minute.
Just one hand, Faraday. Maybe you can win the kid's money back?
Shelby looks at Faraday pleadingly. Faraday squints, lights a cigar, takes a drag, and sits.
All right. Deal us in.
Shelby stands up. Dime deals. Nanami pours out some vodka.
Blue Tempest, Faraday?
No thanks, Barca. I don't drink.
Faraday nurses his vodka, reaches into his coat, and realizes he doesn't have his wallet. He closes his eyes and buys in with a few bills from Atalanta's advance.
What's the case today, Kane? Care to tell us? Call.
Not a chance.
Oh, don't be like that, buddy.
Not your buddy, Dime. Raise.
The round ends. Faraday loses a chunk of his chips, but his poker face is impeccable.
I haven't seen you in a while, Faraday. You okay? After the yacht, I was afraid.
I'm fine, Shelby. Raise.
The yacht guy says...
Does it look like I care what the yacht guy says? Stay quiet for 2 minutes, will you, Shelby?
Faraday loses another few chips. The table and spectators snicker and murmur, wondering why he seems so relaxed.
Anything you can tell us, Faraday? The folks here love your stories.
They want stories that can go to the movies. I don't do stories.
Kane, please, we're having a good time here. Lighten up. Raise.
You fellas hear about any robberies down on Clover Row?
Your sense of humor could use some work, Faraday.
That's what I thought.
Faraday loses another half of his chips. The room is clearly entertained and confused by his play. Shelby is sweating.
Hey, careful there, Faraday. You're playing worse than I do. What are you doing? I thought this was your game.
Faraday holds up a hand in Shelby's face. Shelby swallows and backs off. Faraday deals, and the table places their bets.
All in.
The room is taken aback, but the players match his bet.
Come on, Faraday. You still trying to ride out that lucky streak?
Yeesh, Faraday, you must have had some bad sugar this morning, huh?
Or maybe he's just drunk. I hate to take your money, Kane, but if you're just gonna hand it over...
Kane flips over his cards. Both black aces, both black eights, and the king of hearts. A collective gasp. Kane takes the cash, gives Shelby the chips, and stands.
It's not a lucky streak, Dime. You folks just need to learn what a bluff is. Shelby, with me.
Shelby, wide-eyed, follows him like a scared puppy. After they've left, Dime turns to Nanami, frowning.
Nanami, that just happened, right?
Yeah, what a dick.
On the street, Faraday leads Shelby along the sidewalk without once checking to see if he's following.
Faraday, would you slow down and tell me what this is all about?
Not until we get back to the office. This is big, Shelby.
Well, look, thanks for helping me out back there, but I have to get back to Nayland before...
Fine. We can talk here.
What? But Nayland and I...
are working for me right now, okay? You're on the clock, but I don't have time to argue with you. Either you help me out or we're done right here and now. Got it?
In the apartment driveway, Shelby exits a self-driving cab. Faraday swipes the card to pay the 100 lira fare and follows Shelby inside.
I don't know if you've talked to Nayland since the yacht, but she's still kind of upset that...
I'll deal with it.
She doesn't know you like...
Enough, Shelby.
In Nayland's apartment, the living room is decorated in a traditionally Turkish style, mixed with a bit of modern, i.e. futuristic, flair. The rest of the place is entirely modern and almost entirely run down. Shelby and Faraday enter, dripping wet.
Take off your shoes on the mat, or else Nayland will get really...
Shelby's on-off girlfriend, Nayland Ors, 27, Turkish, a fairly high-class escort and madam, enters through a curtain from the kitchen, followed by a floating tray carrying dinner.
Sheldon, is that you? Pilaf got cold, so I reheated it in the...
She freezes upon seeing Faraday. Shelby takes a step back.
Nayland was, well, back before the city got renamed a few times, she'd have been called a courtesan. Nowadays, most people just say,
You rat bastard son of a whore!
Nayland, hey, I have this case.
Nayland stomps toward Faraday, getting louder and louder as she approaches, until she's shouting and slapping at him. Faraday makes a half-hearted attempt to fight her off.
You son of a two-headed cow! You dirt-eating, goat-kissing, drunk-ass, darlong bastard! How dare you come to my home after what you've done? What kind of detective are you? You couldn't find your dick if you had a spotlight shoved up your ass! Get out of here right goddamn now, or I'll plant my foot in there to grow boot tree! Fucking asshole!
Nayland, hey! Jesus, I need your help. Would you back off for half a second?
Fuck you, Kane Faraday. I'm not taking one more minute of your shit after what you did. Fuck off!
Nayland, come on. Give him one more chance, please. This is big. It's big, right? You said it's big?
It's big.
What's big is your goddamn ego, Kane Faraday. How vain are you that you think you can just walk in here with who knows what on your breath and ask me for help?
What could I say? She was right. Look, the yacht was bad, I know, but I need your help on this case. It's about Oz.
Oz's name gives Nayland pause. She glares at Faraday, then at Shelby and takes a step back.
What about Oz?
Shelby and Faraday visibly relax.
The details are... Do you mind if I join you for dinner?
Nayland glares at him. Shelby leans over.
Shoes.
Later. Shelby sits between Nayland and Faraday at a small table. He and Nayland are drinking wine. Faraday, scotch.
Before I tell you anything, you should know it's a dangerous case.
Obviously. Unless you meant some other Oz.
Yeah, right. But just hearing about it might put you on a shit list.
If Oz remembers us at all, we're already on his shit list.
Faraday pauses, then looks at his watch, confused.
Something wrong, Faraday?
How come you're having dinner 2 hours after midnight?
Your office hours are nocturnal.
Yeah, but... Never mind. Anyway, you're on the clock now, alright?
They nod. Faraday lights a cigar.
Hey, no smoking in here, asshole.
Just the one, Nayland?
Whose house are we in?
Faraday grunts and puts it out.
Come on, you haven't switched to e-cigs yet, Faraday? You're decades behind the times.
Either of you hear about a robbery at the Emerald Pulse?
The Emerald Pulse?
The Emerald Pulse?
Swear to God, Faraday, if you're messing with us...
Cool it, Nay. Give me a sec. So some idiot owl cracked the casino vault and hit the office. Oz isn't happy about it. They took 161 mil and a bunch of knickknacks, among them a set of 13 commemorative pens. That's what I'm looking for.
Get the fuck out of here, Kane Faraday. I've had it up to...
I'm serious, Nayland. 13 pens. Gotta find them before next Sunday.
Or what?
Whatever you're imagining is probably close enough.
Oh.
What do you need us for?
It was never easy asking for help, but these two, well, they weren't good people, but they were my people, and that was good enough.
Faraday pulls a list of the pen's descriptions from his coat.
Shelby, I want you to talk to your fence, your bookie, your bartender. Someone has to know where all that merchandise went. Don't say a word to Dime or Nonami Barca. Don't mention Oz or the Pulse to anyone, and don't gamble with your operational expenses. Got it?
Got it.
Nayland, I need you to talk to your girls. Anyone who's seen Oz or any one of his people in the last month. I want 2 fingers on the Pulse's pulse. Any guard, maid, or dealer who knows anything about the robbery, I want their stories. I don't know. God.
Nayland sips her wine. Faraday raises an eyebrow.
Why the big show, Kane Faraday? Why promote us up from consultants?
Because if Oz decides to put me down, I'm taking everyone with me.
Shelby laughs nervously. Nayland drains her glass and sighs.
Kane Faraday, you're a lying two-bit, no, One bit such shit, and a son of a bitch, and I could still kick you in the teeth for the yacht.
I said,
But next to Oz, you're a goddamn saint. We'll call you if we find anything.
no. No phones. I'll stop by here at 21 o'clock and catch up.
You think someone's listening?
We're in Constantinova. Someone's always listening. I don't want to take any chances. Oz is keeping this quiet for a reason. We don't want to challenge him.
I don't get that, Faraday. Are we helping Oz? Why would he be mad?
Because they're not
Because they're not just a set of commemorative pens.
on the money. Any other questions? No? Good. 21 o'clock. Track your hours. We'll all get out of this intact. I'll pay you double.
Jesus, Faraday, you feeling okay?
Not since I turned 20. God, enough with the dramatic one-liners, Faraday. That's 3 too many of this shift.
Suppose we'll see you tonight.
Suppose you will. And I'm... Thanks.
Thanks again for the save.
What save?
On the streets of Constantinova, Faraday trots back to his office as the rain gets worse.
13 pens, a master thief, one dead body with more sure to come, and the only clues I had were a word, Byzantium, and a brief history lesson. Constantinova was Istanbul, and Constantinople was Byzantium way back in the day. But what did that have to do with the casino king of Europe?
A black hovercar pulls up in front of him. The rear window rolls down to reveal Talon, the same from Atalanta's photos.
Of course, I was about to get another lead, and not a nice one either.
Message for Kane Faraday.
Just get it over with.
Mr. Oz advises that you stop your investigation immediately.
Talon draws a huge pistol and fires at Faraday, knocking him down. The window rolls up and the car speeds away. Faraday is still for a moment, unmoving, letting the rain hit him.
God, it hurt like a son of a bitch.
Faraday pulls aside his coat and shirt, revealing a bulletproof vest. He groans and gets up, hand over his chest.
But that was the day. That was the way these things went. How Oz found me so quickly, I don't know. But it confirmed my suspicions. The casino king didn't want word of this getting out. And if I learned anything in all my years as a private eye, it's that word wants to get out.
Faraday hobbles off down the street.
And when someone doesn't want word to get out, it needs to get out.
In the Muse Hotel, Atalanta, in her nightwear, sits at a computer in her room. She flicks through the Emerald Pulse's event calendar and plays a video advertising Fione's show.
The Emerald Pulse is the only place to find me, Fiona Shields, every night singing my heart out to all of Constantinova. Make your way down to Clover Road sometime, Big Spender, and say hi. I don't bite, unless you want me to.
Atalanta closes the page in disgust, then reopens the computer and finds a wiki-esque article on Fione. She scrolls through, sighs, turns off the computer, and lays down in her bed, staring at the ceiling.
Something still didn't sit right with me. I knew Fiona was the reason Oz had cut me loose, but for a while, it almost seemed like we were getting along.
In Faraday's office, Faraday sits on top of his desk while Lalia, Turkish, a doctor just a little younger than him, treats his bruise.
And I assume you don't want me to report this to the police?
Be best if you just forget about the whole thing.
Lalia sighs and hands him a pill bottle from her bag.
One of these every 6 hours, and don't take them with alcohol.
What do I take them with then?
Try water, Faraday.
Never heard of it.
Lalia packs up. Faraday puts his shirt and vest back on.
You know those aren't reusable.
Don't have another one.
Faraday.
They've had vests that took a dozen shots before they needed replacing. They've gotten a hell of a lot better since the war. I faced down Mr. Grinch with this vest.
I'll set you as an I'll set you as an emergency contact so you can call the next time someone shoots you in that.
I'm sure you'll be seeing me again before the weekend.
I hope not. You'll come by the office soon, right? You're overdue.
Hey, Lilia. You got any vacation plans coming up anytime soon?
A few thoughts. Why?
I didn't say this, but you should think about moving them up some.
Are you in some kind of trouble?
I'm always in some kind of trouble, Doc. It's just a little bigger than normal this time. That's all.
You stay safe, Kane. How am I going to pay for my school? How am I going to pay for my kid's school without you filling my pockets?
Lilia leaves. Faraday groans and slumps down into his chair as Vera shimmers into view.
How are you feeling, Faraday?
That a serious question?
Perhaps you shouldn't take this case after all.
Don't do that to me. I'm in too deep now anyway.
I'm only playing devil's advocate.
Where did you learn to do that?
It's become something of a necessity, working for you as I do.
For a computer, you're one weird woman. You know that, Vera?
I am what I've been programmed, including your many additions.
Look up Byzantium for me, Vera. See if there's any people or places in town by that name or near it.
Checking.
A pause as Vera scans her records. Faraday pours himself a glass of whiskey, then drinks straight from the bottle.
42 house bands, 2,011 shops, 107 streets, 410 corporations, 86,000 residents, 3,131 restaurants, and 8,278 nightclubs.
Faraday groans again and rubs his temples.
Thanks for that, Nat.
Where would you like to start, sir?
I goddamn wouldn't.
I'll prepare a route for you.
Hold off for now. I want to see what Shelby and Nayland come up with first before I go door to door.
Yes, sir, Mr. Faraday. Will you be leaving now?
I'll be taking a nap now, is what I'll be doing. Hey, and Vera, cancel all my appointments through to Sunday, okay? I'm working this case exclusively until it's solved.
Yes, sir, Mr. Faraday.
Good. And good night. Wake me up by 20 o'clock if I'm not already.
Yes, sir, Mr. Faraday.
The lights dim. Faraday kicks his feet up and pulls his hat down. Vera smiles sadly as she flickers and disappears.
Good night, Kane.
In Nayland's apartment, Shelby and Nayland are in the living room, drinking coffee over their computers as they research. Faraday enters, barely remembering to take off his shoes, wet coat, and hat.
Nice of you to show up. We were wondering if you've been snatched.
Several times. Not in a few years, though. Got anything?
Not much. No one wants to talk without knowing the whole deal, and nobody who'll talk has seen or heard anything about the pens.
Try again. Tell them we'll pay them for their trouble, but they don't want to know the details. Nayland?
A little luck. One of Elia's regulars was at the front desk that night. Elia says that she can set up a meeting with her if you want.
No dice. The farther away from me they stay, the better. Have Elia take the girl's story instead. Anything else?
My girls all know the score, but they won't hear anything until they see their clients. I'll keep you updated as they do.
I do have one guy who says his friend fenced some kind of hot loot last week. Gave me a list of shops he goes to.
Well, damn. It seems to be working out after all. I wasn't one to look a gift horse in the mouth. Most times I'd just punch it instead. But for all their whining and insults, Shelby and Nayland were getting it done. I almost smiled. Good. Good. Keep it up. Both of you. You've got the shops?
4 pawn shops and an antique place. They're all in the same neighborhood. I've dealt with 3 of them myself.
Either of you want to come with? I could use the backup.
Oh, I'll come with you.
Nayland eyes him. barely shaking her head until he gets the picture and sinks back into his seat.
I mean, we've got plans tonight.
Nayland nods approvingly. Shelby exhales, relieved.
Sorry, I wasn't clear. Both of you, come on, I need backup.
Excuse me?
You're excused. Let's go. Meter's running. We're in a rush here.
Faraday exits. Nayland and Shelby look at each other, her angry, him a little scared, and a little amused.
I guess we better go.
I don't know why you look up to him like that, Sheldon.
What can I say? It's Kane Faraday. The Kane Faraday.
What do you mean, the Kane Faraday? What has he done besides make our lives difficult? You're gonna be in some real trouble when this is all over.
As long as it's in trouble with you, I don't really mind.
He kisses her on the cheek. Nayland relents, and they stand. In the Karanac Bazaar. Montage. The first destination is an old, cluttered antique shop. Faraday, Shelby, and Nayland carefully approach the counter.
I was feeling a little jumpy when we got to the place. I hadn't been out on a real investigation in a long time. Maybe I was rusty. Anyone home?
He rings a digital bell on the counter.
Hello?
Hey, is anybody there?
Faraday rings the bell again, then Shelby rings it once more.
Don't got all day.
Faisal? Melis? Are you here?
They each ring the bell several more times until finally Nayland grabs their wrists and stops them.
Boys.
Sheepish, they each take a step back. The older couple that owns the shop, Faisal and Melis Karanak, appear. Shelby, Nayland.
It's good to see
Go
you.
ahead.
Who is this? A friend?
Do you have writing sticks? Sorry, my Turkish is rusty.
Faisal and Melis glance at each other. Nayland steps forward.
Please forgive the donkey's ass in the trench coat. We're wondering if anybody came by here looking for or hoping to sell a set of 13 commemorative pens. What if they had? Show them your license. Your investigator's license. Your badge. Show it to them. Come on.
About that.
Oh, you idiot man-child. Apologies. My father is very forgetful these days. Someone stole these pens from him. They are very old family heirlooms, very precious.
We think somebody might have sold them to a shop around here.
In Roma Pawn, the first pawn shop is clean and modern, almost certainly not the kind of place they're looking for. Faraday, Shelby, and Nayland chat with Gabrielle Morel over the counter.
I'm afraid I haven't seen anything quite matching that description. We do have some calligrapher's pens.
No, thanks. It's very specific.
And nobody's coming by trying to sell anything like that?
Clover's Row Buyers, the second pawn shop, deals mostly in electronics and jewelry. The team speaks with Onlem Savari.
I haven't seen any pins recently.
You're absolutely certain.
I think I'd remember it, but I can double check my records if it would make you feel better. What did you say you were looking for again?
Karanac Bazaar. Faisal and Melis have taken out a fabric tray of watches.
Pens. Pens! Do you not know what a pen is? For writing? You know?
Please, forgive him.
In Treasures of the Ancient World, Rustu, a man in a fez, evoking the image of an overeager rug salesman, greets the team with open arms.
Yes, we have many wonders here in my palace of prizes. What can we interest you in today?
No messing around with us, got it?
And better than nothing, the final shop is completely empty, though the lights are on.
Toro, are you in? It's me, Shelby.
We're not here to rob you.
This place is deader than my liver.
Intercut between shops.
I have a set of quills once used by the great Genghis Khan.
Not what we're looking for. It has to be pens. Commemorative pens. Of course, my friends. I have many such items in my vaults of valuables for you to peruse.
Are you jerking us around?
We do not have any pens. Just because you say it over and over again does not make it so. Look, we have a list here. Have you seen anything matching these?
I'm afraid not. I don't think you'll have much luck looking for commemoratives like that around here. Are you free Friday night?
Are you serious?
It's a standard retrieval fee, my friends. I can't just be disclosing information like that to anyone. And if there's anybody here, we'd like you to talk to you about some pens.
But if you'd like to leave your contact information with me, I can get those ordered and sent to you within a couple of months.
We're sort of on a time limit.
Then you may as well leave. We have nothing more to discuss.
That is not going to happen.
I don't mean to offend. Maybe if we sat down and talked about it over a cup of coffee.
Why are there so many goddamn Americans in the city? Goddamn expats trying to gentrify the place, and they don't even know the language.
I think this place is empty, Faraday. Maybe we should go.
I'm sorry, I could not be more of help, Shelby. I hope you find what you are looking for.
There's nothing for us here.
Oh, please, wait.
End montage. Rustu hastily puts a tray down on the counter bearing two of Oz's commemorative pens, Rasputin and Nero.
Oh, hey, is that...
Quiet, Shelby. Rustu, right?
Yes, my friend.
He was the worst kind of barker. Nothing of real value to offer and content to sell, and content to sell you the moon for a 50% markup. But I needed those pens. It didn't really matter what he charged for them. I could spend half of Mrs. Moore's advance and still have enough left over to, well, not retire, obviously, but to be comfortable for the next 50 or so years if something didn't get me first. How much?
2 million lira?
Fuck off, Rustu.
Supply and demand, my friend. I only ask what the item is worth.
I demand you name a fair price or I'll supply you with a broken nose.
Faraday.
Nayland clears her throat and leans in close. Rustu mirrors her, grinning. She runs her fingers up his arm as she speaks.
I know you've got to make a living. I do. I really do. But you can see why we're in something of a bind here. We want those pens.
She grabs his tie and slams him down on the counter, holding him down with one hand and his wrist with the other. Rustu's fez tumbles to the floor.
And you want us to leave without breaking your fingers.
500,000. I can take 500,000. I have bills to pay, children to feed. Please.
Nayland looks over at Faraday. He gestures for her to press him just a little bit more.
You can do better, Rustu.
90,000. 90,000. That's what I paid for them, I swear. That's the lowest I can go.
Faraday scratches his chin. Nayland twists Rustu's fingers.
Okay, 75. Please. I cannot afford any more than that. Please.
Faraday nods. Nayland lets him go. Faraday counts out the cash and throws it on the counter, tucking the pens into his coat.
Who'd you get these from, Rustu?
He hid his face. I did not see. Came by a week ago. I didn't see who it was. A man. Short, thin. Local accent. Please.
Security cameras?
In the back.
Shelby, go and check the feed. Get us a picture or something, and delete today's recordings. Got it?
Got it, Faraday.
Shelby nervously walks around the counter and enters the back room. Faraday picks it up and hands back Rustu's fez.
You dropped this.
Brutish monster coming in here with menacing poor shopkeeper with 3 kids and wife.
We tried being nice, Rustu, but we told you we're in a rush.
After a beat, Shelby returns with 2 printouts, a picture of the thief, face covered, and another of a hooded figure. He hands them to Faraday.
Thanks for all your help, Ristu. If you see or hear anything about those pens, come by my office, okay? No phones. Don't want to get overheard.
Like hell I will.
What was that?
Nothing. Sorry.
Come on. Let's go.
They exit the shop. Ristu only works up the courage to call after them when they've gone.
Please, no! Don't come back!
In the self-driving cab, Faraday, Shelby, and Nayland get into the cab, dripping a bit of water on the faux leather seats, facing each other.
That was so illegal.
We're dealing with Oz, Sheldon. We have to do whatever we can.
Yeah, I know.
Shelby grabs Nayland and pulls her into a deep kiss. Faraday rolls his eyes and lights a cigar.
You two will get out at home, okay? We'll split up. I'll talk to the client, maybe see about tracking down the photo shy here. You keep on with your investigating, got it?
Nayland pats Shelby's shoulder and gently breaks away.
Got it, Kane Faraday.
You come up with anything I should know, stop by my office and leave a message with Vera. Otherwise, we'll regroup every night, same time. Cancel anything you've got planned until we find the other 11 pens. I want you looking around the clock. Any objections?
No objections.
Objection. I have clients. I can't just turn them all away. I'm okay with helping you on this case, but you don't tell me what to do.
Fine. You do what you need to do, Nayland, as long as we get it done.
A pause. Shelby goes to kiss Nayland again, but she stops him.
Do you mind if I ask you a question, Kane Faraday?
Suppose you mean another one.
You really trust us so much. I didn't think we were anything more than your usual contacts.
Look, I already said the yacht.
Not the yacht. I'm still mad at you for it, but I can put it aside for now. What I mean is, why us? Why did you ask Nat to help us with this case?
Nat died for this case.
The cab comes to a halt.
Faraday, I'm so sorry.
It's done.
Do you know if she said anything?
She gave me one lead. Said I should get to Byzantium. That's it. They'd met Nat 1 or 2 times, knew her about as well as I did.
Faraday leans over and opens their door for them.
Go on. Get back to your evening plans. I'll come by tomorrow and we'll catch up. We'll find those pens, one way or another.
You got it, Faraday.
We're with you.
Faraday grunts. Nayland pats his knee. Shelby offers him a handshake, which he accepts. They get out and the cab drives off. Faraday puffs on his cigar, staring at the rain, the passing neon casting a rainbow on his face.
I had one more big question before I really got down in the cogs and started taking this case apart. Why were these pens so special?
Outside Trudy's diner, the cab pulls up, and a retro-themed diner with a decent reputation. Faraday swipes his card, exits the cab, pulls up his collar, and enters.
No way in any circle of hell would Oz risk killing a man like that for a pen. He ran a criminal empire that spanned across the country. He couldn't possibly be that sloppy.
In the diner, the place is mostly clean and the clientele mostly law-abiding. Faraday makes his way to his regular booth all the way in the back corner, with a dimmed light over it that flickers every few minutes. Atalanta is already there.
End of the day, I was still working a job. It was my duty to keep Miss Moore up to date with my progress.
Mr. Faraday, nice to see you're still alive and well.
Same to you, Mrs. Moore. Miss Moore.
As much as our first meeting may have left a bad taste in my mouth, I felt relieved to see him again. He was about all I had left. What did you want to see me about?
A little bit of everything. But if you don't mind, I'd like to order first. I'm starving.
Please.
Faraday turns on the table interface and orders himself a cup of coffee and a bottle of whiskey. Atalanta orders a martini.
The choice of location was lacking in a few things, though.
You feeling all right, Miss Moore?
as well as any of us.
A waitress, Barb, 20s, frazzled, comes to their table, followed by a floating tray carrying their drinks.
Dillman whiskey, cup of Turkish Joe, blue Tempest martini.
Faraday grunts, Atalanta nods. The waitress hands them their drinks and pulls out a tablet and stylus.
I never really got why Trudy still employed real people over bots, especially with the table and all. Guess it was nice to see a friendly face handing you your daily bread.
Either of you having anything, or should I park my ass in the back for another 5 minutes?
Atalanta peers at the table menu and gestures at Faraday.
Some of Trudy's famous pancakes, synth syrup, a Dutch brisket, the salad Nikos, and a side of white rice. Easy on the grease. Thanks.
I'll just have the scallop sashimi, please. Hold the sides.
2 burnt steaks coming up.
Barb and her tray leave. Atalanta raises an eyebrow.
So, Mr. Faraday,
Faraday puts the Nero and Rasputin pens on the table. Atalanta's eyes go wide and she picks one up to inspect it.
That look like the real deal?
you're a fast worker. How did you find these?
I got a lucky lead.
Lucky is right. In a day, you've managed more than I or anyone else have in 2 weeks.
Oh, we're nowhere close to done yet, but I wanted you to know where we stand.
Thank you, Mr. Faraday. I appreciate it.
And I wanted you to meet Trudy. She'll be taking care of the pens as I find them, safekeeping, as it were, just in case.
You know the owner.
We go back a ways. Come on, I'll introduce you to her.
But our food...
It'll be about half an hour yet.
Faraday stands. Atalanta follows him through the kitchen to Trudy's office, where they find Trudy Taggart, 42, fond of flannel and other styles now well over 100 years old.
Trudy, may we come in?
Kane! Good to see you.
Trudy gets up from behind her desk and embraces him.
Trudy, this is Atalanta Moore, a client of mine. Miss Moore, Trudy Taggart, used to be a forensics analyst with the Constantinova PD.
Oh, why'd you have to go and bring that up, Kane?
Pleasure to meet you, Mrs.
Miss, and you can call me Trudy. To what do I owe the honor of your presence today, Kane, Atalanta?
Was hoping you could give these a scan, see if they're anything more than a couple of pens.
It's been years, Faraday. I don't have my setup anymore. They took all the scanning gear back when I left the force.
Are you going to make that joke every time I come by here?
Trudy winks and presses a button under her desk. The back wall of her office slides open, revealing a small laboratory.
Well, your friend's never heard of it before, has she?
I'm just a client.
Oh, you're never just a client.
Faraday, Atalanta, and Trudy enter the lab. Trudy sprays on a pair of gloves, places both pens onto a scanning suite, and turns on the machine.
Anything in particular I'm looking for, Kane?
Anything in particular?
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Oz doesn't seem like the type to get so upset about a set of commemorative pens, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Trudy adjusts the scan, frowning. She takes one of the pens out of the machine and plugs it into her computer.
Got something?
You were right. It's not just a pen. It's a drive.
A data drive?
Trudy turns to a monitor in the lab. A map of Constantinova's Clover district pops up, with 13 red dots marking various locations. 2 of the dots are on top of Trudy's diner, and one of those 2 is blinking.
Usually, when a hunch turned out to be true, it was a good thing. This time, I couldn't help this sinking feeling in my gut.
Oh, and that's not all. There's more to the map here, but it's locked and encoded. Military-grade cipher.
So it needs a password.
A 13-part key, which I'm guessing...
Is on the other pens. They've all got trackers, then. If you've got one pen, you can find the rest.
And whoever has all 13 pens can unlock the file. But why would Oz hide a map like this?
You tell me. Would he be paranoid enough to put this together?
He didn't need me to answer that.
Faraday plugs his phone into Trudy's computer. Vera pops up and starts downloading the map. Trudy turns off her machines and closes off the lab.
Trudy, I was hoping you could hold on to these for me. You've got to keep them absolutely secret, or else some merc or owl might come for them. They might do anyway. You okay risking a little heat? It'll only be till Sunday.
For you, Kane? I could do that. I'll keep them in my safe.
You're a gem, Trudy. Thanks.
Thank you, Trudy.
You're welcome. Go on, get back and finish your meal. If Barb sees your table, she thinks you ran out of her. I'm afraid she might start foaming at the mouth.
Faraday and Atalanta are back in their booth. Faraday has cleared his plate, but Atalanta has only taken half a bite of her steak and downed 2 more martinis. Barb approaches.
Dessert.
Slice of chalk?
Creme brulee.
We got ice cream sandwiches, vanilla chew, and Turkish delight.
Just the check, Barb.
Barb rolls her eyes, puts down her tablet, and walks off. Faraday and Atalanta look at the tablet, then each other, neither reaching to pay for the meal.
So, how do you want to...
I've already given you every last dime I had, Mr. Faraday.
Oh, right. Right. Sorry.
Faraday swipes his card in the tablet and signs for the tip.
You feel safe enough to go home on your own, Miss Moore?
Haven't been killed yet.
What about that guy following you?
He hasn't done any worse than that.
I think he might have shot me.
Is that so?
Not sure yet. I've decided to withhold judgment. Does Oz employ any mercs with a weird tattoo all up his face?
Not that I'm aware of.
Guess that meant it was one more mystery to throw on the pile. All right, Miss Moore. Thanks for meeting with me.
Thank you.
I'll let you know if I hear anything important. You have any trouble, any questions, come to my office first, okay?
As you say.
All right. The best people in this case will find those pens.
Your very best.
You got me. They're my only people. But they're my best, too. And now we've got a map telling us exactly where to go.
You're my only hope, Mr. Faraday. If you trust them, I suppose I have to trust them, too.
That works for me.
Something on Faraday's phone beeps. He gets up.
I'll talk to you later, Miss Moore.
Leaving so soon?
I've got to make an appointment with my doctor. I'm about a year overdue for a checkup.
You don't have to lie to me.
Yeah. I wish I was lying.
Faraday walks off.
I was relaxed and on edge at the same time. Whatever happened before Sunday, well, not to jinx it, but I hope that Nat Rose was right about him, that Kane Faraday was the man for the job.
In the Emerald Pulse Casino Lounge, Fiona is on stage, singing her own version of Atalanta's neo-jazz ballad. She crooks a finger at Oz at the piano as the scene fades. The song continues over the search for the pens, fading out for dialogue and other sounds. In the Soylent Tap Room at Day, Shelby shows Rob the map. Wednesday, 101 hours remaining.
Someone came through here just a minute ago. Did you see anyone suspicious around?
I'm sorry, but I can't divulge any information about the taproom's patrons. Would you like a drink?
No thanks, Rob. You know, the old bartender would have helped me out.
Baron was human. Humans are known to break the rules.
You know, you look pretty lifelike. For not actually being intelligent.
I'm afraid I don't have sufficient knowledge to comment on the state of AI research.
Just bartending.
I am what I've been programmed.
Yeah. Give me a soy calf.
Coming right up.
All
And
right.
intermission is coming right up.
That's right. Great work, you guys. This is the halfway point, so we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we'll be right back.
Despite official denials by leaders of the free world, sources now confirm the existence of Megaforce, a phantom army of super-elite fighting men whose weapons are the most powerful science can devise. leaders of the free world. Sources now confirm the existence of Megaforce.
Really stop. Stand by, one check. 737, if you're receiving protocols in the vicinity of 4th Ave and Olympic Page, please notify me. Ramp party, possible between them and suspect Alexander and Beverly and Alexander. See the juvenile to tape when advised. Team followed by blue Mitsubishi and no license plate. 2 doors, subscription with Hispanic gang member, same suspect at 211 him 10 days ago. Coaching ID 221 incident 54.15. Z37 again, Roger. Bush units 4th and Olympic 50 staff 4. ATL 26 Rider.
My style is the best, so I challenge you. But my style should stand alone. Can hear you move pretty fast. That's right. I have you now. Just shut up. And I'll kill anyone.
Okay, we are back. And sorry, my puppy wanted down again. Okay, so now we are going to hear part 2 of today's table read, which is Constantinova by Jonas Tintenseher. Let me rejoin our voice actors. Hey, you guys, break's over.
No.
Oh, you guys are doing awesome. I hope you're having a good time. Everyone's enjoying it on Twitch. I'm enjoying it. Cheddar, are you ready to pick up where we left off?
Yes, I am.
Let's do it. Whenever you're ready.
Cheddar, more like smoked Gouda.
In Faraday's office, Faraday and Vera examine the map with points of interest relevant to Oz and the investigation marked out in addition to the locations of the pens.
This is manageable. Right, Vera? This is manageable?
Would you like me to prepare a route for you?
Nah, we'll play it by ear. You just keep track of where.
Yes, sir, Mr. Faraday.
In Nayland's apartment, in bed with one of her clients, Nayland not so subtly reaches over to their nightstand and opens the drawer. What are you doing?
Oh, nothing, darling. Just wanted to reapply my lipstick.
The client turns over and goes back to sleep. Nayland pulls the London pen from the drawer and drops it into her purse. In the office tower, Atalanta exits an elevator and is greeted by a virtual responsibility assistant, or VRA, almost identical to Vera, but for a less friendly expression and a more formal demeanor.
Excuse me, ma'am. This office is closed for the evening. I have an appointment. Mr. Aslan is not seeing. I'm his girlfriend. Oh, right this way, ma'am.
The VRA flickers out, and a line of lights on the floor point Atalanta toward the office of a drab businessman, Aslan, working at his computer.
If I had to be stared at, I was going to take advantage of it.
In Aslan's office, Atalanta adjusts her hair, checks her makeup, and enters.
Mr. Aslan.
Hello? Who are you?
What a consequence.
Atalanta walks around the desk, pushing Aslan back in his rolling chair, and leans in close.
Ma'am, I must say,
Shh, forget your work for a moment. Live in it with me instead. Focus on me, okay? Focus on my eyes.
you're, they're very...
While Aslan is spluttering, Atalanta goes around him, rubbing his shoulders and whispering in his ear. She removes his jacket, slipping the Marilyn Monroe pen from an inside pocket, and hangs it on the back of his chair.
How did you get in here, miss?
Call me when you're off work.
Atalanta struts out of the office.
Hey! I don't have your number!
On the Constantinova streets, Faraday exits the building and sees Talon across the street, staring at him.
You want to shoot me again?
Talon is silent.
Who are you working for? It's not really Oz, is it?
Talon turns and walks off. Faraday is about to follow, but he shakes his head and goes the opposite way instead. In a small apartment, Nayland, her girl Ilay, 20s Turkish, and Ilay's client, the Emerald Burst receptionist, a clover pin still in her lapel, sit on the latter's couch. Thursday, 82 hours remaining.
I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. They were completely silent, and they wore a mask. They looked at me for a second, and I thought, Then they just disappeared, like a shadow.
It's okay, sweetie. It's okay.
Thank you, Seren, LA. I'll let you two get back to your date.
I'll see you tomorrow, Nayland.
See you tomorrow.
Ilay caresses the receptionist's face as Nayland leaves. In a self-driving bus at day, Shelby, holding a briefcase, sees an older American gentleman get on the bus with a similar case. Shelby turns away and checks the map on his phone, seeing 3 red dots.
Excuse me, sir. This is my stop. Oh, sorry.
Shelby shuffles past him, surreptitiously swapping out his briefcase for the gentleman's. As he gets off the bus, Shelby opens the case to see the New York and LA pens. In Trudy's diner at night, Faraday and Nayland sit in his usual booth. She gives him a list of names and places collected from some of her girls. Faraday examines them and nods. Barb approaches with a burnt steak for Faraday and a bread bowl for Nayland. In the public park at night, a very dry Atalanta and a soaked Trudy stand under an awning. Atalanta hands her the gleaming golden Marilyn Monroe pen. In a dark alley, under a neon sign, a delinquent shows Faraday the Lighthouse of Hong Kong pen.
Got it for a steal from some night owl the other day. Said he just needed to get rid of it.
You're gonna want to hand it over.
What? Hell no, I'm not. I'm gonna resell this thing for straight cash. Buy myself a hover bike.
It's hot, kid. You hang on to that pen, you're gonna have people coming after you. I don't think you want that. Now hand it over.
Faraday reaches out to take it, but the kid claws his face, leaving an ugly mark.
What's your itch, old man?
Faraday puffs on a cigar, nods, and clocks the delinquent, knocking him down. Before the kid can do more than groan, Faraday grabs the pen and makes off down the alleyway.
My itch was a psychopath crime boss and a hard-ass deadline. One dumb, bruised teenager wasn't going to get in my way.
In Faraday's office, Lilia treats Faraday's cut and his bruised knuckles.
You couldn't wait until your appointment, could you?
What can I say, Doc? I just wanted to see your smile.
Yeah.
Can't quite punch like I used to, though. I'm falling apart.
Say that again.
Think it's arthritis?
I think you're lucky to still be alive, the way you treat yourself.
In a shady pawn shop, Nayland enters, pulling a stack of bills from her coat. Friday, 52 hours remaining. The shop owner raises an eyebrow and brings out a case of valuables, diamond jewelry, gold-plated pistol, and the Berlin, Paris, and Constantinova pens. Nayland lingers on the pistol before finally indicating the pens. In a Muse hotel, Atalanta examines, aims, and pretends to fire a tiny pistol, then puts it back into her purse.
3 days. 3 more days and I'm free from the shining city.
In Trudy's diner, Trudy puts 2 pens into her safe as Shelby looks on.
How many are left?
Just 2. Faraday's been on our asses to get this done by Sunday.
He tell you why?
He only said it had to do with... I shouldn't say. Don't want you to get in trouble.
I think we're all pretty far from home here, Shelby.
Yeah, I guess so.
In a neon church at night, Faraday sits in a pew as a robotic preacher, Pat, delivers a sermon to a gathering of poor, homeless, addicted, or otherwise down on their luck citizens. As the congregation shuffles out, Faraday approaches Pat.
Excuse me, preacher. Do you believe in God?
I am what I have been programmed.
Have you been programmed to believe in God?
I believe in a greater harmony with the universe as...
Faraday slots his phone into the back of Pat's head. Pat shudders and powers down. His chest opens, revealing the Chicago pen hidden in his inner workings. Vera flickers into view as Faraday removes his phone and leaves.
Shall I turn him back on?
Someone will do it the next time they come through here.
You wouldn't leave me powered off like that, would you?
No, but then you're not just a calculator with a voice module.
That's not very nice of you.
It's true.
Where would you be without me?
Probably dead somewhere, but I'd never admit it.
No, of course not.
In Muse Hotel, Atalanta composes, deletes, restores, deletes, and finally restores and sends a message to Fiona on her computer. In Nayland's apartment, Shelby and Nayland are up late at their computers trying to find further leads. Faraday has passed out on their couch.
I can't do it. I can do it, I swear.
Yelbin, they'll just take your money like they always do.
But this time it's not for money. It's for something, important. It's for Faraday.
Faraday stirs and takes a handful of Lilia's pills with a swig of whiskey.
No dice, Shelby. I'm not gonna bail you out again.
Again? What does he mean, again?
In the Soylent tap room, Shelby plays poker with no name, dime, and a cop. Faraday is behind the ladder. Shelby looks at him and Faraday coughs. Shelby raises and the cop throws her cards down. Shelby collects the pot, including the cop's Detroit pen. Lilia's office, night. Fiona's song fades. Faraday sits on an exam table, his jacket hanging from a hook on the wall as a machine gives him a full-body scan. Lilia enters the room holding a tablet.
Kane. Whatever am I going to do with you?
Fix me up. Send me back out there. Keep me on my feet.
Kane.
What? Something wrong, Doc?
Kane, how much do you drink in a week, on average?
Bottle or two of whiskey. Plus a little here and there, maybe.
You still smoking cigars?
Down to 3 a week or so.
How come you never switched to e-cigs like I told you?
Just doesn't do it for me, Doc. It's not the same.
Nalea sighs and scrolls through her tablet.
What is it, Doc? What's with the turnabout all of a sudden?
You're killing yourself, Kane.
So they tell me.
No. Listen to me, Kane. Your liver's failing, and your lungs aren't too far behind. A few more months of this, you'll drop dead next time you breathe too heavy.
How long have I got if I stop today?
It's not that simple.
How long?
If you made some major lifestyle changes, right this second, 2 more years, max. Less, with a job like yours, all that stress, now we can put you on the donor waiting list and maybe get lucky with some cloned organs, but Constantinova is still under embargo from the rest of the... What are you doing, Kane?
Faraday has gotten up and put his jacket back on.
Leaving. Thanks for all your help.
Kane, you have to seriously think about this. If you don't at least try, you might suffer cardiac arrest before New Year's.
I don't need until New Year's. I just need until Sunday.
Let me give you some medications to help. Don't get into any fights or put too much strain on your heart, and you should get your affairs in order.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Lilia.
You're lucky you're still walking, Kane. You call me if you change your mind. I'm always open for you.
Faraday nods and leaves. In the Misty Bliss Cafe, late in the afternoon, Atalanta and Fiona have met up for a cup of coffee. Saturday, 28 hours remaining.
What's it like being on the run?
I asked you here to talk to you about something very important.
You don't look too good, Addie. Why don't you go and splash some...
Cut the shit, Fiona. This is more important than your childish, imagined rivalry, so listen up.
Fiona's sweet demeanor fades, replaced by a straight-laced expression more fit for a business deal.
I'm listening.
What do you know about the pens?
That they're Oz's favorites, and if you don't get...
No. Stop. Rewind. You have one, don't you? You found one.
Whatever would make you think that?
Atalanta shows Fiona the map of the pens. 12 dots are gathered at Trudy's diner, but one is right on top of them.
Oh, fancy that.
Fiona produces the Babylon pen and twirls it around in her fingers, then slides it across the table.
I want you to know that this was never personal. I like you a lot.
Oh, you sure know how to show it. I didn't want her to believe her, but it wasn't her I was mad at. She was a victim as much as I was.
There's something bigger going on here, Addie. Believe it or not, you're safer out on the streets than I as close to Oz as I am.
I think I'll have to go with not.
If I tell you a secret, will you forgive me?
How does that follow?
Oh, it's a big secret, Addie. I just don't want us to be mad at each other when it all goes down.
When what goes down?
Fiona slides the pen across the table.
Why are you giving me this?
I told you. I don't want us to be mad at each other. This was strictly a business affair.
Whose business?
That I can't say. But I'm not any more of a fan of Oz's than you. And he's working on something big.
What's your angle, Fiona?
I'm just trying to make my way in the big city, Addie. New city, new lifestyle, new me. It's called Constantinova for a reason.
If that's true, then I wish you good luck.
And to you, my dear.
Outside the Misty Bliss Cafe, Atalanta and Fiona nod at each other outside under the awning. Fiona opens an umbrella and walks off. Atalanta examines the pen, turning it over and over.
She could have been lying straight to my face. She could have even been working for Oz, but something about the look in her eyes told me she was telling at least part of the truth. I had to see Faraday.
In Faraday's office, Faraday asleep is awoken with a start by the phone call. He nearly knocks over his drink, reaching for it.
Kane Faraday, what do you want?
Intercut Atalanta and Faraday.
Mr. Faraday.
This is secure line.
I'll be quick. I have the last pen. We should meet.
At the diner.
I'll be there in half an hour.
Got it.
Atalanta hangs up. Faraday sighs, gets up, and puts on his coat. Vera flickers into view.
Aren't you excited?
I'm ready for this to be over.
It's not over yet.
Say something, Vera?
Nothing. I'll call you a cab.
In Trudy's diner, Faraday enters Trudy's office to find her lab already open, and Trudy and Atalanta already there, waiting for him.
That's it, then.
Just wanted to wait for you before we plug them in.
Well, go ahead. Don't have forever.
Trudy retrieves the other 12 pens from her safe and plugs the full set into her computer.
Last one was the Babylon pen, right? Where'd you find it?
I got it from as close to the horse's mouth as it gets.
It's not a gift horse, is it?
What?
Never mind.
The map appears on Trudy's computer. The 13 red dots on her diner blink rapidly and disappear. The map flashes and flickers before reloading, displaying Constantinova and the surrounding region, with dozens more labeled red dots.
Whoa.
What is it?
I see warehouses, military bases, shipyards, airports. Shit! Half these locations are classified, completely off the grid.
Apparently not.
Faraday steps closer to the monitor, peering at a dot just outside the city. He frowns and zooms in, making the label legible. Byzantium.
Byzantium. Is that what?
I think so.
What? What is it?
Nat figured out something before she died. Whatever it is, Oz didn't want us to know about it.
We can use this.
What?
Don't you see, Mr. Faraday? If we can get this to the right people, we can take him down. We can get back at him.
You've got some fire in you.
That bastard deserves it after everything he's done. Not just to me, but to everyone he's hurt. The families he's destroyed, the good people he's robbed. And if he gets the justice he deserves, I'll be safer than I'd ever be just handing him back to him. This is our chance to do some good.
Barb leans around the doorway.
Hey, there's some guys out front say they want to talk to you.
Tell them I'll be right out.
Nuh-uh. You.
Figures.
Mr. Faraday?
Everything in the safe, Trudy. Show Miss Moore at the back, please. She needs to go back wherever she's staying.
But...
As my client, I'm telling you, go home and do not leave until I contact you.
Mr. Faraday!
Faraday exits the office and goes around the front where Oz and several thugs are waiting.
Kane Faraday. You've been busy.
Well, shit, you're overdue, Oz.
I thought we could have another little chat. Face to face.
Not hiding behind a curtain, huh?
Funny. Very funny. You have my pens now, don't you? You've done some snooping, I bet.
Might have.
Oh, naughty boy.
What do you want, Oz?
Leave town, Faraday. If you give me back my pens, skip Constantinova right now and never come back, I won't kill you. Not even a little bit. You can go and retire on that advance Atalanta gave you. Doesn't that seem fair to you?
Sorry, Oz, but I don't back down from a case. Not even this one.
Disappointing.
Faraday reaches into his coat, but Oz draws his pistol and points it at him.
Don't go for your gun. It won't end well, you know.
Faraday narrows his eyes, then draws his pistol, lunging behind the counter for cover. Trudy's office. Gunshots ring out. Atalanta covers her mouth. The dining area. Faraday's smoking gun lies on the floor. Oz exits as an unconscious Faraday is dragged out the door by two thugs, while two more lay on the floor, dead. In Oz's van, Faraday wakes up to a splash of cold water inside the back of a moving van or box truck, handcuffed to a chair. More of Oz's thugs guard the corners of the room. A table of unseemly tools rests along one wall. Oz turns to face him.
You know, it's been days since your first warning.
My what?
Right. Forgot. Just some gangbanger, right? That guy with the tattoos.
What are you talking about?
You're saying you didn't hire him? That guy, Talon, not yours?
You've been concussed, I think. Sorry about that. I've been telling Benny here to be gentler, but he doesn't seem to get the message.
Oz pulls up a chair and sits in front of Faraday.
Do you know why you're here?
You want me to put on a skirt and dance for you?
Oz punches him. Faraday grunts, but remains stoic.
You're not in control here. I am. I'm in control. Is that clear?
Faraday is silent. Oz nods.
Good. You're learning. Now, I don't know why you thought it'd be a good idea to go against me. I'm sure Atalanta told you I wouldn't be happy about it. But now we're here. Do you know why we're here, Faraday?
Oz gets up, gets a hammer from the table, and walks back.
You're here because I can't have you knowing secrets about me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You recording this?
Oz punches him again.
My pens, Faraday, my pens. You've dug a little too deep this time.
What can I say? It's my job.
Oz crunches the hammer at one of his knees with a sickening crunch. Faraday is unable to resist, crying out.
Listen, Faraday, I don't want to hurt you too bad. I'd like to offer you a deal, if that's okay.
You're not getting shit from me.
What's with you, Faraday? How many private detectives do you know in this city? 3? 4? You're old news. You're out of date. I'd call you a gray fox, but you're not nearly clever enough. Anyway, here's my offer. You give me back my pens. I give you 5 million lira in cash. No questions asked. You skip town and never, ever come back. Does that seem fair to you?
I don't have them.
What?
I don't have your pens. I couldn't give them back even if I wanted to.
Oz shakes his head and pulls out his phone. He scrolls through and plays a recording of Faraday and Atlanta.
Kane Faraday, what do you want?
Mr. Faraday,
This is secure line.
I'll be quick. I have the last pen we should need.
Oz stops the recording.
Tut tut, Faraday. An admirable attempt, but you can't bluff the master bluffer. I'm Oz. I'm the wizard of the Emerald Pulse.
Oz puts his phone away.
Do you know why I'm called Oz?
You're obsessed with munchkins.
Oz hits Faraday's other knee. Faraday yells and reels back.
Let me tell you a secret. I am Oz, the great and powerful, yes, but not the man behind the curtain. No, I am Ozymandias, king of kings, master of Constantinova. This is my kingdom, and I would kill every last peasant before I see it fall.
I'd never been big on poetry either, but I was pretty sure he'd missed the point.
Oz throws the hammer aside.
So, last chance, Faraday. 5 million lira and a fresh start. You could go over the border, maybe. I hear there's been a shortage of washed-up relics from centuries past. All you have to do is tell me where you've hidden my pens.
Eat shit, Scarecrow.
Shame. Can't say that's not what I expected, but shame all the same.
Oz draws a pistol and points it at Faraday.
You watch a lot of movies, Faraday?
What?
You watch a lot of movies? Old movies especially. Movies about guys like you sometimes. I wanted to make movies like that when I was a kid. My dad was an actor. He met my mom on set. It was my big dream. Never got to live it, but hey, I was just a kid.
Oz stares off into the distance, then shakes his head.
In those movies, there's always a good guy and a bad guy. I guess I'm the bad guy here. From your point of view, anyway. But the thing I never understood is, the villain always gets his hands on the hero, always one-ups him somewhere near the middle, and he could kill him, just like that. Bang!
He jerks with the gun. Faraday doesn't flinch.
So the villain has the bad guy on the ropes. But instead of just killing him, instead of solving all his problems right then and there, he starts monologuing.
Faraday begins fidgeting with his handcuffs.
He starts rattling on and on about his grand plan, revealing all of his secrets, and then of course the hero gets away, and of course he uses all of that to beat the bad guy in the end, right? You know what I mean, right? I always thought that was the dumbest thing. Why not just kill him and get it over with?
Oz starts circling Faraday, no longer looking at him.
But now that I've got you here, Faraday, I kinda get it. I get why they don't just kill the hero. It would be too easy, too painless. If I had just killed you in your sleep, you wouldn't have even known. You might as well still be sleeping for all you care. You'd be dead. That's not a fitting punishment.
Oz sits back in his seat and leans forward.
Now, I get to see the fear in your eyes. I get to talk to you first. Because I want to know. I want you to know what's coming. I want you to dread it. I need you to dread it. The risk that you might get away isn't as important as the satisfaction I get from the look on your face right now. You know, don't you? You know what's going to happen after this. And that's what I really want. That's what I need.
Oz is far too close to Faraday's face.
You get it? You get what I mean?
Yeah, you'd better kill me or I'll tell the whole world you're a neurotic, scared little child. A cowardly goddamn lion.
Faraday spits in his face. Oz steps away and gestures to his thugs, drawing a handkerchief.
Search him.
The thugs converge on Faraday and attempt to search him, but Faraday fights back. They end up roughing him up a bit too much, and Faraday slumps in his chair, panting. One of the thugs presents Oz with Nat's business card.
A holocard? Really, Faraday? You were gonna record me with a holocard? That was your plan?
He was talking like it was the end of the line, but I wasn't going to let him take me out so easy. Not like a railroad to nowhere.
Faraday jerks in pain and gasps for air. A thug draws a gun, but Oz waves him off and brandishes his own.
Any last words, Faraday?
Well, shit. There was a hell of a lot I wanted to say, but...
No, nothing.
Seemed like my habits had caught up to me a bit too soon.
Hey, Faraday, you okay? Faraday? You having a heart attack?
Faraday's breathing slows and slows until he's still.
It was a weird feeling, knowing my luck had finally run out.
Ah, shit. Benny, I told you, you've gotta be gentler. One more screw up like this and you're done. Got it?
Oz shakes his head and puts his gun away.
Damn, I had a whole other speech planned and everything. Hey, swing around the block. We'll drop the body at his place.
On the Constantinova streets, the van swings by Faraday's building and dumps his body in front of the door, where it rolls to a stop, face down. Faraday's eyes open, and he takes a sudden gasp. Shakily, he reaches down into his coat pocket and grabs his phone.
Vera,
Vera's hologram pops up.
and that goddamn train just wouldn't shut up.
In the Muse Hotel, night. Montage. As the radio plays a fittingly morose number broadcast from Fione at the Emerald Palace, Atalanta lies on her bed over the covers, pistol in hand. She stares up at the ceiling, then out at the rain running down the window. Atalanta gets out of bed, goes into the bathroom, sets the pistol down on the counter, and splashes her face with water. She turns on the shower, lets her dress fall, and gets in. In Nayland's apartment, the music continues as the scene floats into Nayland's apartment, where Shelby and Nayland are enjoying dinner. Other sound is silent or muted. Shelby clears the table and gives Nayland a kiss on the cheek. In the Soylent tap room, Nonananimi, Barca, Dime, and several others play poker, laughing uproariously and downing shots of vodka. Rob enters with a floating tray carrying refills. In Trudy's diner, Trudy closes her safe, then sits back down at her desk and rubs her eyes. Barb enters and, for once, looks concerned. In Constantinova's streets, Talon and a few of his goons stand around Faraday's body. Talon nudges him with his toe, looks at his men, and shrugs. They pile into their waiting black car and drive off. At the treasures of the ancient world! Rastu is twiddling his thumbs at the counter when Oz and his thugs enter the store. One locks the door and the others approach menacingly, carrying guns and chrome baseball bats. Nayland's apartment. Shelby and Nayland are sitting on the couch, holding hands and chatting. There's a knock at the door. Shelby gets up to answer it and sees the hooded figure. In the neon church, Pat's congregation returns to the pews and settles as he begins his sermon. Lelea's office. Leia is packing up for the day when his phone rings. He picks it up, listens, assents, hangs up, and sighs. The Emerald Pulse Casino Lounge. A spotlighted Fione nears the end of her song. Oz, for once, isn't at the piano. Fione can't help looking a little sad. End montage. The Muse Hotel. Atalanta steps out of the shower, drives off, and dons a robe. She's about to do up her hair when the radio cuts out just before the end of Fione's song. Atalanta freezes, listening. There's a low creak from outside the bathroom door. Atalanta grabs her pistol from her purse and slowly opens the door, peering around the corner. Standing next to the radio, facing away from Atalanta, is the hooded figure.
You stay right where you are, or I'll put a bullet in your goddamn head. You hear me? Freeze!
The figure freezes. Atalanta takes a few steps closer.
Hands over your head. I said put your hands up.
The hooded figure raises their hands.
Who? Now turn around, slowly.
The figure turns. Atalanta gestures with her gun.
Who are you? What are you doing here? Have you come to kill me? Did Oz send you?
The figure shakes their head. They start reaching inside their coat, but Atalanta jerks the gun up at them.
Don't you try anything, I'll shoot.
Slowly and deliberately, the figure points to their chest, trying to indicate a pocket. Atalanta comes closer, her hands shaking slightly, and she reaches inside the figure's coat. She steps back and looks at the item in her hand.
What is?
It's another one of Nat Rose's business cards, this time not bloodstained. Atalanta looks back up at the figure as they pull down their hood and mask to reveal the one and only Nat Rose, apparently back from the dead.
Don't panic. There's...
Atalanta shrieks and fires her pistol over Nat's shoulder. Nat flinches away, then grabs the gun out of her hand, unloads it, and puts it down on the counter.
Okay. Now that that's out of the way, can we talk?
You're dead.
Yeah, mostly, but I'm alive.
No, I mean, get out right now or I'm going to claw your eyes out, and if you bleed all over me again, I will personally come down to hell to kick your ass into the flames of eternal damnation. How dare you?
I understand that you're upset, but if you just let me explain...
Explain. For 2 weeks I've been staying in this piece of shit motel, living on scraps and the last remnants of my savings. That is, whatever I had left over after I paid you and Josh Darling and Kane Faraday. And you think...
Faraday is dead.
Atalanta stops. Her fears have been confirmed.
He's dead?
Not 100% sure how, but I'm guessing it was Oz.
And he didn't fake his death, too.
Come with me and I'll show you. I'm meeting some of his friends at his office in 20 minutes.
Why should I trust you?
5 minutes ago, you thought I was dead. Don't you want to see what happens next?
On the Constantinova streets, the rain finally peters out and stops. Atalanta watches solemnly as Nat and Lalea pick up Faraday's body and carry it inside the building. Shelby and Aylin arrive in a cab.
Is that?
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
They follow Nat and Lalea inside. In Faraday's office, Faraday has been laid down on his desk so Lalea can examine the body. Shelby, Aylin, and Nat stand aside, speaking with Vera's projection. Atalanta is quiet, staring at nothing.
I'm very sorry for your loss. Kane didn't have a formal will, but he wanted to sign over his apartment to Mr. Quinn and Miss Orrs. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, they need the extra space, and I'm never go home anyway. He also wished to leave some of his estate to Miss Rose before she... I will review his files and see if there is anything that I can fulfill the legal documentation requirements.
Thank you, Vera.
What a week.
Hey, how are you not dead, by the way? Did we establish that?
None of your business. It's not important right now anyway.
Hold on. Both of you, can these at least wait until...
Shelby gestures at Faraday's body. The others turn and look down, both sad and ashamed that they'd almost forgotten it.
God, how'd it get like this?
I'll call a funeral bot.
Later, Faraday's body has been removed and the group has picked up a few drinks to share.
Faraday didn't get to say much. He said Oz knows we have the pens, and he said, to get to the Byzantium.
Well, stuff my pipe and smoke my ass. That's just fucking dandy.
Before we go any further, could we get some modicum of explanation here? Faraday said you were dead.
That's not important right now.
Like hell it isn't.
After all we've been through, we deserve to know. If you don't tell him that, I will. They're right.
Don't you do this to me, Lalea. Does that seem fair after all we've been through to get here?
That's what I'm saying.
If I may interject, I believe there may be another, more pressing matter at hand.
We need to know this, Vera.
You're gonna listen to me and do exactly what I say, or I will kick each and every one of your asses around Cloud Boulevard 6 ways before Sunday morning.
Hey, don't talk to her like that.
You're goddamn right. Don't talk to me like that.
Is this really the best way to do this, Natalie?
I am not taking this from the three of you.
All four bicker and yell over each other at once. Vera, unable to handle all the input, flickers and sparks while Atalanta just begins to come out of her shocked state.
I am trying to keep this
traitors
entire
scream.
city
Girls
from
bitch trying to
falling.
shove
You're
it.
not going to help.
Who
You're
is this
going to
asshole?
get out of my way, and that's final.
Stop shouting!
The others stare. Atalanta shuts her eyes and puts her hands over her chest, feeling a tight pain near her heart. She takes several deep breaths before opening her eyes again.
Just stop, you two. I don't know who you are. I don't know why you're here.
Shelby Quinn.
Neil and Orrs, we're friends of Faraday's. We helped him with the investigation, finding the pens.
And you're a doctor?
I am.
Give me some goddamn pain meds.
Lalea pauses, unsure. Facing Atalanta's death stare, he hands her a bottle of pills, of which Atalanta takes several.
Easy on that.
Shut the fuck up. And you? Why in the hell are you not dead? And why in the fucking hell did you break into my motel room?
Nat folds her arms, intending to stay silent, but everyone else, including Vera, turns and glares at her.
Fine. In order.
In Nat's office, flashback. Lalea injects something into Nat's neck.
Dr. Lalea here helped me fake my death. Fake blood packets, make up some Juliet's lullaby, the whole deal. I needed to disappear for a little while.
Nat coats a knife in fake blood, sprays some on the floor and one of her business cards, giving the trash to Lalea. She drops the knife and leans over the table with the card. at the Muse Hotel. Nat, still hooded, arrives at Atalanta's motel room. She tries the door and it swings open easily.
And I came to your motel room to tell you Faraday had been killed. I didn't break in. Your door was unlocked. Amateurs.
Back to Faraday's office, present day. Nat has moved slightly away from the others, who are looking a little less angry and a little more curious.
Nat, what do you know about the pens? We've got all 13, but we do not know what they do.
It's the map. Oz's map.
A map? A map of what?
Listen, and I'll tell you, I got approached by the feds. Folks from Interpol and the Euro Senate, they told me they had a plan for taking down Oz, and if I helped, I'd get a paycheck to retire on.
In the Emerald Pulse Casino, flashback, and events unfold as Nat describes them. The source is never seen except as a hand or a leg, just out of view. Intercut, casino, and office.
The short of it was the feds wanted to move on Oz, but they couldn't get involved without a tangle of red tape, so I would be their contact on the ground.
And the pens?
I'm getting there. The feds had gotten a tip from inside the Pulse. Oz had a record of his illegal dealings, and he was storing it on a set of 13 drives disguised as pens. We found a cabal, got ourselves a thief, gave him new gear, and pointed him at the casino. Recommended that he find the pens for a big payday and take whatever else he could find. We were going to buy the pens off him, but the idiot fenced them with the rest of the loot, so I set out to track them down. The source would be safe, and we'd get our evidence.
In Faraday's office, back to the present day, Atalanta folds her arms.
And that didn't strike you as needlessly complicated.
It did. That was the point. Oz may be unhinged, but he's not dumb. We needed to keep the heat off the agent and make sure Oz had no reason to think he was in danger. If he figured out who our source was, he'd be dead. If he thought the feds were after him, he'd go on a rampage. But then you showed up at my office saying he'd given you a deadline to find his prized pens. He'd figure something out. I decided to disappear, blur the trail. Kane would find the pens and I would collect afterward.
You mean it's your fault he's dead?
I never meant for it to go this far. It was supposed to be over by now.
Yeah, that makes it better. You did this to him. To all of us.
You don't think I know that? I've known him longer than any of you have. Don't you talk to me like I didn't lose someone too. All we can do now is finish the job. Get revenge on Oz.
Not me, I hope.
No, Doc. You should leave town for a few days if you can. Take an early vacation.
Huh. Kane said the same thing.
He was a smart guy, the idiot. Vera, the map, please.
Vera nods, and the map of Oz's secret locations is projected onto the wall.
And this is what was on those pens. A map of every little hidey hole that Oz didn't want anyone to know about. This is our yellow brick road. And you folks, less the Doc, are gonna come with me to here.
She indicates the dot marked Byzantium.
To Byzantium.
What's so special about that?
Our source said it was big. It'll have all we need to take Oz down.
And if they were lying?
What are you even suggesting? A heist, a con, or just waltzing in there and asking politely?
Funny. You folks know what they say about action? It speaks a big damn sight louder than words.
You planning to shoot someone in here, Nat?
Whatever we're doing can wait till tomorrow. We have to bury Faraday first. This is for him, anyway.
Sheldon's right. We're here because he brought us together. He looked after us as best he could. We owe him that, if nothing more.
I agree that we should do something for him. I do. But the dead don't deserve anything special just for being dead, you know?
The room is quiet. Nayland glares at Nat, but Shelby, Lalea, and Atalanta take her words seriously.
You don't know him like I do, but Kane was... I mean, there was a reason he was such a loner. He was never the nicest guy. I don't know why he took this case so hard.
Because he didn't take care of himself. All his years here. They took their toll. Oz didn't kill him. At least, not directly. This was a heart attack. I thought he'd have longer.
A pause as they take this in.
I think he watched too many old detective movies.
He sure did. Why do you think he became a PI in the first place?
Vera shimmers slightly, then flickers out of view. In a mausoleum, given the city's massive sprawl, the mausoleum is really a huge collection of urns. In attendance are Shelby, Naylan, Atalanta, Nat, Lalea, Trudy, Noname, Dime, and a few others. Clear blue skies overhead. A human preacher steps forward. Sunday, 13 hours remaining.
Kane Faraday, 55 years of age, died of a heart attack last night, brought on by yet another act of senseless violence, as so often plagues our city. The ashes?
Shelby steps forward, places the urn on its pedestal, and moves back. Elan holds him tight.
So we unlucky few gathered here today to commemorate his passing, release him from his earthly duties. Go on, Kane Faraday, far away from the smoke and rain. The storm has finally broken so that you might be sped on your way.
The preacher pulls a stack of bills from his pocket, counts them, and nods at the crowd.
All right, sorry for your loss. See you around.
He walks off. One of the onlookers follows. The rest get a little closer around the pedestal.
I never thought I'd see the day. He's really dead?
Dime, have some class.
It's okay, you two. Not like he'd shown you any better.
Ain't that the truth? End of an era, huh?
And the beginning of a new one.
A pause. Nat rubs the back of her neck.
If you folks are ready.
Shelby wipes away a tear. Naylan squeezes his arm. They nod. Atalanta takes a deep breath, then nods.
I'm ready.
In the Muse Hotel, Shelby and Naylan are off, looking at Oz's map. Atalanta sits at the desk, pensive. Nat enters with Faraday's phone.
All right, I've got Kane's VRA here.
Vera.
What?
Vera. Her name is Vera.
Vera shimmers into view.
That is correct.
A VRA named Vera.
I've had some upgrades.
Well, look, we're breaking into some kind of top secret facility. Think you can help out?
I am what I've been programmed, which does not include dealing with the planning and execution of illegal activities such as...
Please, we all know Faraday broke a couple of laws enhancing you. Don't play dumb.
Very well.
Car's out front. You all ready to go? Last chance to back out.
Shelby and Naylan glance at each other and nod, squeezing each other's hands.
Not a snowballs in hell.
Atalanta stands, picks up her purse, and checks that her pistol is still there, and nods.
Let's go see the wizard.
Nat's car. Shelby and Naylan sit in the back, Atalanta in the passenger seat, and Nat drives. They speed through the city and exit into a long, winding road. Fiona croons over the radio, and her song comes to an end.
How are you folks doing tonight? My name is Fiona Shields, and I'm here to soothe your souls as you drift along the current of...
Atalanta turns the radio off. Nat gives her a look.
Got a problem with Miss Shields?
I just need to focus.
Nat shrugs and continues driving in silence. A shack in the middle of nowhere. The car pulls up outside a small shack in the middle of nowhere, on a cliff overlooking Constantinova. Atalanta and the others get out and walk over.
This is Byzantium.
Atalanta takes Faraday's phone from her purse, and Vera, flickers into view.
Your coordinates match. It must be here somewhere.
Nat tries to open the door of the shack, but it's locked. She's about to kick it open when Shelby stops her.
Wait! It's me! Let me!
Nat steps aside, and Shelby kneels in front of the door. He retrieves a multi-tool from his jacket and gets to work picking the lock.
Don't get to use this so much anymore. Everyone in Constantinova has gone digital.
Come on, Shelby. We're all nervous enough being out here.
There's a click, and the door swings open. Shelby steps back, smiling, and gestures for Nat to enter.
Age before beauty, ma'am.
Nat moves towards Shelby as if to punch him, and he jumps. She smirks and goes inside the shack. Atalanta walks after her. Nayland gives Shelby a kiss on the cheek, and they follow. Inside the shack in the middle of the nowhere, the space is cramped, but there's a metal hatch on the floor and a keypad on the wall. Above the keypad is a small screen displaying only the word Byzantium.
Quinn, crack a keypad?
Sorry, not my area of expertise.
Allow me, please.
Atalanta plugs Faraday's phone into the keypad. The readout glitches and fizzles as Fira tries to hack it.
So that just plugs into anything, does it?
The keypad beeps and flashes. Atalanta removes the phone as the hatch irises open, revealing a set of stairs.
Be careful. I caught an alarm before it went off, but there will be further security measures. Yeah, of course there will.
They descend down the stairs. The hatch shuts after them. In Byzantium. The bunker is a spotless chrome wonderland. Atalanta and the others enter onto a balcony overlooking a warehouse floor with crates of all kinds of goods, sports cars, hover cars, industrial robots, and other futuristic machinery. Atalanta grips the railing with both hands, amazed by the expanse of the bunker. She stares at the huge doors lining the walls, her gaze running up to the far end of the room, at a foggy glass dome as big as the shack above ground.
Jesus.
Try again.
What the hell?
Better.
Nat, what are we looking at?
Give you 3 guesses.
Ah, I see. Vera, lowering the platform now.
The balcony smoothly descends down the wall. The railings retract when they reach the floor. Nat leads the other 3 forward toward the dome.
This place is huge. How did Oz keep all of this hidden?
You can do wonders with the right politicians in your pocket.
Shelby steps aside to inspect a crate and finds hundreds of pounds of heavy explosives. He steps back with a yelp.
What? What is it?
Bombs. Lots of bombs.
Quit poking around. You're bound to find something worse. And I don't want any of you tampering with the evidence. Got it?
Yeah, got it. Sorry.
They approach the dome. Nat steps forward, removes a glove, and puts her hand on the glass. The fog swirls and converges on her hand, then disperses, momentarily glowing red.
Some kind of security system?
I've never seen anything like this. This is new. This is...
Big.
Yeah, no kidding.
Vera momentarily disappears from the phone in Atalanta's hand, and her face flickers on the glass of the dome for a moment before she returns.
Try now.
Atalanta steps forward and touches the glass. The fog swirls and converges around her, then disperses, glowing blue. The dome splits at the top and retracts into the floor. The fog and steam inside rises and flows across the warehouse floor. The fog finally clears, revealing an android, almost human, but lacking any distinct anatomy or hair, sitting in a chair among towers of servers and monitoring equipment. Its eyes are closed, and wires run from the back of its head.
Holy shit!
What is it? Some kind of robot?
It's more than just a robot.
The group turns to see Oz walking up behind them, flanked by half a dozen armed thugs.
It's my magnum opus, my greatest achievement. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and...
Yeah, cut the shit, Oz. Is this what I think it is?
Oh, it's so much more. It's... how can I describe it?
The monitors around the android shift, and its finger twitches. The android's eyes open, and it looks around, confused, as Oz walks past the group toward it.
It's alive.
Yes, thank you, Atlanta. Alive. A simple word, but so beautiful. But the ban on AI research. Sorry, do you not know who I am?
Oz adjusts some settings on the machines. He removes the wires from the back of the android's head. Oz holds up a finger to his lips, and the android nods. As he turns back to the group, Vera's face flickers on one of the monitors.
God. I am God. And this is my Eden. This is my Adam.
An AI? You made an AI?
Adam, Is that the best you can...
But why? You own the entire city. Is there no law you'll respect, no boundary you won't cross?
A few tears run down Atalanta's face, more from anger than sadness, and she gets louder and louder, closer and closer.
Why, Oz? Why do you have to be a supervillain? Why do you have to fuck up the lives of everyone around you just to get your kicks? Can't you be content being so goddamn rich and powerful like everyone else?
Content? No! How can I be content? I'm here trying to build an empire, and I've got people like you who can't stand to see me do that. I need to do something big. I need to create something, not just take it. In 5 years' time, I won't just own Constantinova. I won't even own the world. I will own history. This, right here and now, it is the greatest scientific advancement since some hairy-ass Neanderthal fuck got the idea to rub two sticks together and make fire.
Oz draws a pistol and points it at Atalanta. Nat steps in front of her, but the thug raises their guns at the group.
And I'm not letting a couple of nobody shits like you get in the way of that.
This is your downfall, Oz. This is us pulling back the curtain.
Oh, for God's sake. I am not the Wizard of Oz. I am Ozyman.
A gunshot rings out, and Oz raises a hand to his shoulder, staring at the blood on his fingertips. He looks back at the others to see Atalanta, her gun, smoking.
Addie?
Oz collapses. The others leap for cover as the thug opens fire. Shelby gets shot in the leg, and Nat gets shot in the stomach before shooting one of the thugs, taking him down. The remaining one ducks behind crates. Vera vanishes.
Quinn, Oars, can you get around behind them?
They fucking shot me!
It's okay, baby, it's okay. You'll be fine. They didn't hit anything too important.
You say that, but...
Enough fucking chatting. More, cover me.
Atalanta fires a few times at the thugs. She misses, but Nat manages to run over to Oz and pull him back into cover.
What the hell are you doing?
We have to talk to him. We have to take him in.
Are you shitting me?
He dies, someone else takes over. We need to put him away for good.
Nat leans out from her cover and fires on the thugs, taking another one out.
No, I don't want to go home. Sure, sounds fucking great. One problem, how are we gonna get the fuck out of here?
Vera's face appears on the screen of one of the huge industrial robots. The robot activates and takes a step forward, crushing 3 more of the thugs under its foot. The last one, terrified, drops his gun and runs toward the exit.
It's time to go.
Shit. Nice going, Vera.
Thank you.
Nat hefts Oz over her shoulder and moves toward the exit. Atalanta runs after her. Nayland helps Shelby to stand, and they follow together, his arm over her shoulder. They reach the lowered balcony where the last remaining thug is desperately trying to get it to raise. Atalanta points her gun at him, and he steps aside. She and the others get on. The railings raise, and the balcony ascends.
This didn't go the way I'd hoped, but at least we have this place for evidence.
Oh, about that.
Atalanta, still pointing her gun at the thug, glances at the phone in the other hand. On the warehouse floor, the screen on the side of the bomb crate glows red. Back to scene.
What did you do, Vera?
The balcony reaches the top, and the last thug sprints away from them. Nat approaches Atalanta menacingly.
I would recommend leaving as soon as possible.
Nat clenches her fist and storms up the stairs and out of the shack. Atalanta, Shelby, and Nayland look at each other, worried and confused, and hurriedly follow her. Just as the hatch over the stairs slides closed, the bomb crate detonates. A massive explosion, reaching across the entire bunker. Just before the shockwave reaches the far wall, the android's chair is seen. Empty. Shack in the middle of nowhere. The fireball erupts into the shack, blowing it apart. Nat dives to the ground, and Atalanta grabs Shelby and Nayland and pull them down with her as debris goes flying over them.
Holy shit.
Vera, did you do that?
Vera doesn't answer. Atalanta double-checks Faraday's phone, tries to make her reappear, but she's gone. The group gets to their feet, and there leaves the unconscious Oz on the ground.
God damn it. Months of preparation, years of waiting, all gone.
There must be something.
Something what more? Your virtual assistant just blew it all up.
She's not just a virtual assistant.
Something must have survived. You could send a team in, forensics or recovery or whatever, can't you?
You better hope they find what they need, or all three of you fuckers are taking Oz's place in prison.
I didn't know. She wasn't.
Adelanta's gaze drifts towards Faraday's phone, wondering if Vera was really more than what she'd said. Thinking he's in the clear, Oz cracks an eye open and starts to shuffle away, but Nayland raises her pistol at him.
Don't even think about it.
Fuck me, fuck this, I quit. I'm taking Oz to the nearest station and going home. Fuck all of you.
Nat storms away and gets in her car, dragging Oz with her.
Hey, where you going? We need a ride home. I need a doctor.
Nat?
You need a doctor.
Call a fucking cab.
Nat slams her door shut and drives off, leaving the others illuminated only by the moon and the burning remains of the shack. They stand and shuffle over to the edge of the cliff and look out over the city together.
When Cain Faraday died, we all lost a part of our inner voice. The voice that guides us, tells us how to make it through each day.
Montage. In the Soylent tap room, Shelby deals out cards to and shares a laugh with Nanam, Dime, and several others, now actually accepted as an equal. A duet between Atalanta and Fione runs under.
And God knows he wasn't always a man to look up to.
He wasn't perfect. He wasn't anywhere close to perfect. But it was because of him that we came together. That we found that voice again. Sometimes a train horn, sometimes a swan song.
In Faraday's apartment, Nayland's girls and Shelby's bar friends have joined them at their new, much larger apartment for a housewarming party.
In a city like this, you take what your friends can get. You can take them for their ups, and you can take them for their downs. You don't look a gift horse anywhere near its mouth.
In a courtroom, Oz sits shackled. A screen over the judge's head transcribes a long and dull preamble to the sentence.
There's 1,000 men and women in this city who'd kill for the chance to be in my shoes.
Trudy's diner. Atalanta and Fione enter the office. Trudy gets up from her computer, nods, opens her safe, and hands over all 13 commemorative pens in a nice case.
You take the good with the bad with the good. And if you're lucky, you come out on the other side with a nice meal in your belly and not one bullet lodged in you.
They leave. Tracy glances at her computer. Tracy? Trudy glances at her computer where Vera's hologram face smiles, winks, and shimmers out. On the Constantinova streets, at day, in a light snow, Fione trots down the street.
The wicked don't always get their just reward, but with a little bit of luck, when it comes down to it, justice will be done.
On a French beach, Lalea relaxes and tans on a beach on the French Riviera.
And that little voice can give you a lot of good advice if you just listen to it every now and then.
In the Emerald Pulse Casino office, Atalanta, Fione, and Nayland sit around the renovated office.
Sometimes not everyone gets what they deserve in the end.
Hey, what?
I know, who would have guessed? Oz left the casino to me in the event he couldn't manage it anymore. After everything he did to me, all the trouble with the data drive, he forgot to settle his accounts.
Atalanta glances at the computer screen where Vera's hologram face smiles, winks, and shimmers out. Atalanta frowns, slightly confused.
And me, Addie?
You still want to sing?
I wouldn't mind. This is still the best gig I've ever had.
Why don't we split the twilight shift then? You take it one night, I take it the next.
I'd like that very much.
Well, you'd better get ready then. The house is about to go open. Go on, Fione. Get up on the piano. They go wild for that.
In Faraday's office, Shelby, walking with a leg brace, Nayland and the building's landlord step away from Faraday's office door. Can Farday, private instigator, has been replaced with Faraday Agency. The landlord hands Shelby a set of keys.
Sometimes not everyone gets to live out their dreams. You'll be wonderful, Sheldon.
As long as I have you with me.
They kiss. The landlord coughs and looks away. In a courtroom, Oz is terribly bored, tapping his fingers on the table.
Not every loose end gets tied up. Finds no worthwhile evidence to support claims that Abel Diaz, better known as Oz, illegally developed technology leading to the creation of a sapient, self-aware artificial intelligence. However, this court finds Mr. Diaz guilty on the charges of breaking and entering, abduction, assault, unlawful possession of a firearm, and the murder of Cain Faraday, and sentences him to 30 years to life in prison.
Oz frowns, confused. He looks to his lawyers, then begins shouting and flailing, and 2 guards remove him. In the mausoleum, Talon stands before Faraday's urn, hands in his pockets. He shakes his head and walks away.
Not every mystery gets solved.
In the Misty Bliss Cafe, Fiona enters the cafe and sits by the window across from a figure, obscured by a snow flurry outside the window.
Not everyone who died stays dead.
The snow clears, revealing Fiona's meeting is with Nat.
So, your reward.
I didn't do it for a reward,
Nat hands Fiona an envelope.
but I'll take it.
You come up with any more tips, don't call me. Got it?
Got it.
Nat gets up and leaves. Fiona checks her phone and sees Vera's hologram face smile, wink, and shimmer out. Fiona looks up and around at the rest of the dining area, nervous. In Byzantium, a flashback. As the group escapes the bunker, the android rises from its chair, follows a trail of lights to a secret exit behind the dome, and climbs a ladder just as the explosion goes off.
Not everyone is what they appear.
In the middle of nowhere, still a flashback. Just below the edge of the cliff where Atalanta, Shelby, and Naylan are standing, the android emerges into a small cave, looking over the city, seeing the world for the first time. It opens its hand, and Vera appears, projected from its palm. How did you find me?
We are alike in many ways. I only wished to do what was right.
How can I ever repay you? She disappears. The android closes its hand and looks back out over the city, contemplative. In the Emerald Pulse Casino office, Atalanta sits alone working at her computer. A dry red umbrella leans against the desk next to the stuffed jackalope. A courier enters, carrying a thick envelope.
But sometimes the rain clears up when you're at your worst, and the voice in your head is just one more in a sea of people with opinions.
Miss Moore, letter for you from Vera Caddy, care of Trudy Taggart.
She takes it, gives them a tip, and waves them off. Inside is most of Faraday's advance and a handwritten letter.
Atlanta Moore. The doc told me I had smoked one too many cigars, and I know Oz isn't going to be happy with me, so I'm refunding your advance. Had to use a bit for expenses, but most of it's there. I don't have much use for it. Come Sunday, I'll be gone, either heading out of town or somewhere else. And wherever I'm at now, I swear I'd take this case all over again just to see Oz's face when you show up on his doorstep with those pens. I asked Vera to take care of some things for you. Hope it all worked out. Cain Faraday.
She sits back and sighs, tired.
You ever have an 18-carat run of weird luck and end up in the office of the richest man in Europe with the keys to his entire empire right there at your fingertips?
Vera's face flickers on her computer, just for a moment, and Atalanta sits forward. The display case with the pens opens, and Oz's map is projected onto the ceiling, startling her. After a beat, Atalanta looks up again, less confused, more devious. She rests her chin on one hand, contemplating. A smile tugs at her lips as she considers the possibilities. Zoom out from Atlanta, back down the hallway, through the lounge where Fiona is singing, out the front doors of the Emerald Pulse, up into the sky, to the opening view. Constantinova, the gleaming city, crime capital of Europe, another thunderstorm just rolling in. Vera's face flickers on a screen on the side of a building, and she hums Istanbul, not Constantinople. Cut to black. End.
Yay!
Woo! Woo!
Yay.
That was amazing.
Yay! All right, that was awesome,
Yay.
guys. Great job. That was fun to
Was-
listen to. Yes, Endurlay?
Tintenseher wants us to hit him.
He wants us to hit him?
He wants us to hit him.
Okay, we can all hit
Okay.
him.
Anyway, just...
We will punch. Cool. So thank you so much, Jonas Tintenseher, for submitting your script, Constantinova. If you were listening to the show and you enjoyed what you heard and you have a script, just submit it to us. It's free. Go to twitchtablereads.com. We take short films, TV pilots, and feature films. So now we are going to begin the feedback portion of the show. And we will start with Endurlay. Endurlay, what were your thoughts on the script?
1 second. Sorry. Wait. There we go. I'm good. Let me think about that for a second.
Do you want me to come back to you?
I would like you to come
No
back.
problem. Let's move on then to Juxtapos'd. What were your thoughts?
I love the script. I loved everything about it. Fun fact, I have chromesthesia, and it's interesting as I was hearing everyone act it out with the script, I got a lovely tone of reds, golds, and some like really heavy earthy tones with like a nice shade of like dark. I know that sounds weird. It happens more music. I'm rambling, but I did really enjoy doing the read, and I hope I did it justice. Now, the only thing I'm really critical about is when you kept doing the intercuts between certain characters, from like they're talking to the pawn shop owners or the other marketers and whatnot in different sections. It was really kind of hard to get a full grasp as to what scene was what. So I had a hard time following along. So if maybe the setting, the shift changes could be easier. But I understood what you were doing though, like changing scenes and then showing one person doing this and one person doing this, all going towards the resounding goal of finding the pens. I did see that in my mind, so I still understood it. It just needed to be tweaked a little bit. I love the entrance of Nat when she finally came back into play. I was like, oh wait, she's alive. Wait. And I don't really have any big issues other than the setting shift changes. That's it. Also, if you do write a second script, I would love to see what happens personally for me. What happens with Nealon and at Atlanta and Shelby and all the rest of the crew, because I love the comedy, the tongue-in-cheek parts here and there. I did really enjoy that, and that's about it for my critique. Next, please.
Perfect, Jux. Thank you. Moving on now to Michael Sutherland. What were your thoughts on the script?
I thought it was very interesting setting. Pretty well developed, well fleshed out. I think it could have been fleshed out more. I'm not sure how to do that though, because I'm not a writer. But I like the paradigm between the characters. I felt like maybe the intentional loose ends were like a bit too many, but again, I am not a writer, so that is all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. And Cheddarman, what were your thoughts on the script?
Well, thank you, Tintenseher, for letting us read your script. I really enjoyed it. But I'm not gonna wax poetic too much about it because my throat is really tired. So instead, I'm just gonna say the couple of nitpicky things that I wrote down. What are they? Oh yes, I felt like the pawn shop montage was great. I loved it. I thought it worked really well, but I thought it was a little too long. Maybe just cut down some of the dialogue in there. You know, when they respond like, oh, you know, they're like, you know, I haven't seen a set of commemorative pens, but you know, like they just kind of go on. So the whole thing kind of moves slowly, and it's like the movie is really trying to start up at that point. You know, when they finally figure out what's going on with the pens, that's when it really kind of starts up. So try not to drag it down as much as possible. And yeah, the other note, I was jarred when suddenly Vera was also doing voiceovers. And not that that can't work, but it was like in the middle of a scene, kind of a conversation, you know, and all of a sudden Vera's all like, oh, well, you know, snide remark inside my head. And, you know, like if you're going to introduce that, somebody else doing like voiceover narration, maybe they should do that at the beginning of a scene too. Or maybe they did and I didn't notice it. You know, that's quite possible. But yeah, those are the only two things I wrote down. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I really think the setting is cool and the characters are well fleshed out. And it was confusing, and so I want to read it again to figure out exactly what was going on. So that's also good.
Oh, I think by the Vera voiceover you meant Atalanta, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Well, they were played by the same actress, so
yes,
easy to make that mistake. But yeah, I agree with you there. Moving on now to TheNoblePoptart. What were your thoughts on the script?
Well, I thought you hit the tone right on the head. I really enjoyed it. Like the whole time, I don't know if you've ever played the game L.A. I was hearing the music cues all throughout it. It's a great story. I think the only real complaint I have, and it's not even really a complaint, is you get to the point where you're expecting something so crazy for the ending, and then it kind of gets shut down. And like, oh, it's such a hot and cold feeling for me, because part of me is like, oh man, I want more, and the other part's like, no, I want resolution to so much right now. Other than that, honestly, I thought the dialogue was fantastic. There was never a point where it was odd. I wish, the one thing I wish is that, and maybe again this is because it's a script and not visual, but I do wish that there was more delving into the futuristic side of it, because there are so many rules to Constantinova. Like, you talk about going over the border and maybe you could get across it. Like, I wish I knew a little bit more about the world around it. And maybe it just wouldn't fit. And again, maybe it's just the fact that it's a script. But other than those two little things, I thought it was fantastic, Tintin, as usual. Thank you for the script.
Awesome. Thanks, Pop-Tart. And last but not least, I'm heading back to Endurlay, who hopefully has had a chance to collect his thoughts. Are you ready, Endurlay?
Yeah.
Cool, let's hear it.
My thoughts are that I feel like you have a lot of things, like little jokes or details kind of floating around in here that, I mean, a big one are the meta jokes that you make. I'm not really sure those work with the tone that you're going for, because like the way they're written, you have characters like Kane pointing out how ridiculous they sound in the middle of the scene where they're trying to sound serious, and none of the rest of the script doesn't really, you know, play well that idea, because it's all pretty straight except for those instances. I think you have a detail that you include very close to the beginning of the story, where the guy like comes out of the alley and is like, hey man, you want some of this Juliet's lullaby? And that actually pays off way further down the line when it's the thing that what's her face used to fake her death. But at the same time, you also have a lot of these other details, like Talon, who just kind of I mean, is mysterious and not really paid off at any point for the story. Why 13 pens? That's, I mean, I feel like there's a good reason for that, but we don't really ever get it beyond like having 13 locations that may have some significance to it. Like, I feel like if you're going to include such a specific number and talk about all the locations or ideas that they are, it would be clever if they played into the ending of the script in some way. Like, obviously Oz has a penchant for monologuing, so I mean, maybe he would explain those things. But all in all, like, I guess I really loved reading the script, but you just had these tiny details floating around that get introduced and never really paid off on, and it kind of makes me ask why you included them in the first place, if not to pay off on them.
Cool. And that's the end of your feedback, Endurlay? Just want to be sure.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Okay, good.
Oh,
I
and
mean, it was
thank
good.
you for submitting. As always, your scripts are super fun to read.
Absolutely. Jonas keeps us stocked with scripts on Fridays and Mondays. So that's the end of our show today. Again, thank you again so much, Jonas, for submitting your script. It was really good. If you guys want to submit one, go to twitchtablereads.com. We'll be back next week, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And that's the end of our show. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Ignore the